Do I want to be? Would I want to be on record saying this?
Somebody does it right, or if somebody is an activist or an entertainer that does it, they become something to condemn others. You know what I mean? Like everybody has to be this and everybody has to be that.
I don't value what Beyonce, love her down, but I don't value what she has to say about certain issues more than I value my own opinion.
We have to also understand, but there is real risk associated with speaking out on these large issues.
We are not seen as men, like period. We are not men. The biggest mistake that you can make as a black man is to think that you are a man.
I think that Beyonce, you're asking people to engage with your art politically. I think it's right that people want her to use her platform.
Hello, beautiful black people.
Hello.
I will tell y'all why I convened you here today, but I don't truly know.
We just about to hang.
No,
This is the
it's
second time you
General
did this
air,
shit, you know?
the general air.
Yeah,
we're just popping shit.
it's a
Fuck
general
shit.
discussion episode. No, Herbie literally messaged me like, Olay, I know these are normally real political and I would like to be able to prepare. Like, so, what's the topic? And I'm like, I don't know.
Herbie, you're so cute.
Girl, I gagged.
Herbie taking things seriously.
I'm like, normally I would have something in mind. Normally I curate the group based on a topic, but it was just like vibes.
Honestly, you actually picked the perfect people because all I ever say is I'm just about the vibe. So
Yeah.
No,
I'm
I live.
happy.
Is wonderful. So I think I want to slander Eminem. I think that's the first thing. And that's the first
I
thing that
live
I
for
want to
that.
do. And I want to find out if it's an unpopular opinion. I know I'm gonna get called everything but a child of God. Because I feel like there's too much. I hate the way hip hop has conceded to Eminem. Like it's like this, like they concede so much respect to Eminem. Like it's just a fact that Eminem is a great that doesn't get challenged. And it pisses me off. Nobody else who's considered the top of hip hop is given so much grace. Like Jay-Z could never put out as many fucking shitty albums as Eminem has put out in like the last 15 years. Eminem has been doing fuck shit musically for like since 2009. I feel like I've been looking at Eminem like this.
When was the Slim
my
Shady
God.
LP? That's the last
2000.
thing
No,
he
the
put out.
Marshall,
I ain't
was it
gonna
the
lie.
Marshall Mathers?
He did like one of his recent exploits was okay, like in the new era. Like
He
it
had
had
one good project after he put out the really fucked up project where they talk bad about him on Everyday Struggle. He got mad at Joe Budden and them, and then he put out like the project to bounce back from it. Like you remember he put out that one that was real American flag, like
Revival. I
and-
see it here. Revival.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
He
Don't worry
has
about
one.
that,
He
don't
has
worry.
Yes,
one that's good,
research.
but it's literally only good because it's like 7 songs of him being like, "Fuck y'all who didn't think my last shit was good." I can rap. Like that's literally the project.
I'll be honest and say the one Eminem album I can recite most of is the Marshall Mathers LP. But I was also like in the 5th grade.
That's his truly great album.
No,
You
I was gonna
know,
say.
Eminem does have great music. I'm not saying he don't. He has
No,
great
I know.
music. The
Mhm.
90s and the very, very early 2000s are his, right? Yeah, I give you that. What I don't like though about Eminem is first and foremost, normally when people talk about what the rules are supposed to be or what the bar is supposed to be for like white hip hop artists, especially how they treat like new ones, right? Like the amount of critique you'll have for Jack Harlow and them, you would think their forefather Eminem was some nigga of virtue, someone who like,
All right, so let
White
me
savant.
jump in
Not
real quick, 'cause
forefather.
I did just, I mean, he is. I did just do a video on him and white rappers in general at the end of last year. And so I want to agree and disagree with you, Olay, because
Yeah.
I think, so Eminem is respected. And if we're going to be fair to Eminem, he is kind of a, oh, fuck. Do I want to be,
Here you go.
Do I want to be, would I want to be on record saying this?
I was like, think about what you were saying.
Right.
Think
Okay.
about
And
it.
basically what I'm trying to get at is Eminem did not understand what he was doing when he became Eminem. He was just like, I want to be a rapper. I want to make some money. I want to make music. Here I am, this Slim Shady. I'm the real Shady, yada, yada, all that shit. And so what happens after that is he becomes Eminem. And ironically, one underlying piece of Eminem's music is that he hates his fans just as much as we do. But he can't do anything because he's Eminem. He hates that he created Jack Harlow. He hates that he created Tom McDonald. He hates that he created Machine Gun Kelly. He hates all of those things, but he also can't stop being himself, which is also trash in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So it's this weird, complex, like Schrodinger's asshole situation with him.
Not Schrodinger's asshole.
Now, hold on.
You know, and the last thing I'll say is a lot of there is a chunk of Eminem's fans, especially internet rap fans. There's always, you know, there's a chunk of them that are like annoying and anything he does is great because he's Eminem, whatever. But Eminem has definitely gotten his fair share of shade and heat.
Yeah. He gets
rap.
his critique, but your critique with a consistent, lifelong invite. You know what I mean? Ain't like, you know what I mean? Like that ain't the same for me. What I don't like is, right, it's even the fact that Eminem is so big. That's my point. And it's like how big he is, right? And it's not just, yes, of course, Eminem is huge because there's a whole white hip hop and stuff that love him, but there's also a lot of niggas in hip hop and like the ones whose opinions you care about that are like swole in the chest for Eminem forever. And you know what I hate? Every other artist that like a rapper that is great, right? That has a great rapper, has made great music, has a cutoff in people's mind where their new music no longer is relevant to people, especially if it's not up to par, if it's not good. You don't even talk about it. It's the man, you know what they supposed to perform. This isn't the next thing. Nobody expects their new music to perform at that to get the same amount of coverage, but not fucking Eminem. Eminem has been putting out shitty projects like more often than not. Eminem puts out some bullshit and Eminem is just hugely talked about, commercially successful. And what he really did to make me decide to say fuck Eminem, right? And mind you, I love Stan. I love all the old music, right? And all of that. What pissed me off is, did y'all see Houdini? What he dropped last night?
I actually watched
Justice to Dua Lipa. That's her lead single.
She kind of ate.
You ain't see it, Foreign? You see it?
I mean, until you show me that, but like I looked at the lyrics and I was just like, raw, like this unprovoked misogyny, like unprovoked, like bullshit.
It was just
that's the one, like what he talking about, like the feet.
The feet? Are we talking about the feet?
Yes.
The feet, that's what he talking about. Like he just like, I mean, like he late to the misogyny. That's what killed me. Like I mean, like this nigga like came, circle back, spin the block around, go and say, actually, let me remind you how misogyny I am. This is
I
Stan.
started this misogyny shit. This the motherfucking thing.
Yeah, so y'all niggas forgot. Y'all think 3-6 Mafia in them? Too short? No, y'all ain't ready for my
you know what I
misogyny
hate though? Like a lot of these artists, like not only, and we have to talk about the way like people use Meg Day. Literally, he used Meg name on intentionally because it's the only way that fucking
they can get
garbage
attention.
song when it would be something on our radar. Are we talking about it, right? But what I hate is back in my day, niggas used to have all their problematic, fucked up, incredibly misogynistic, like wicked lyrics and agendas to songs that made you want to turn against your principles, like songs that you like so much you feel like you gotta turn nimble gymnastics to defend. It don't even be good no more. Like they not even like, you know what I'm saying? And because I know based on my own music library that I'm capable of being silent about some fuck shit if I really, really fuck with the music. I know this. I have a lifelong of doing it. What is that? What is it? I went and I said,
it was so bad.
Watch the whole thing. It's fucking bad. Like so bad. It made me stop caring about the misogyny and the Meg thing and be like, you know what? I think we have to have a larger conversation about Eminem and why we're still allowing Eminem to be.
It's like I'm playing Madden. I don't know what I was doing, but I was up later than I usually was, and so I see this pop up on my Twitter feed as I'm brushing my teeth, and I'm like, well, it's been promoted to me enough. Let me see what this is. And it starts out, and I'm interested because I'm like, Eminem from 2002 and Eminem from 2024 meeting. That is a really interesting concept and a room for commentary on like the nature of discourse and art and hip hop and even his legacy as he's looking at his old self, thinking, what would I say to that person that maybe don't do drugs? Like there's so many things that could have happened there. And then R. Kelly likes the Black Eyed Peas bars.
There's so many bad bars. I gotta find
it.
Sorry.
No, it is really bad. There's this one bar that says the old me would say everything is gay, like happy, and I would rather be called a faggot because that was.
Chill. But I think too, I think the issue that like Olay spoke about earlier, like this issue of this lifelong invite is ubiquitous inside of hip hop and outside of hip hop. Like, Black people want to invite everybody to the cookout, and the bar is incredibly lower for them to exist in Black spaces. Adele is invited to the cookout just because she wore a Jamaican flag over her white titties, and it's very.
Don't get me started.
And then when she says, "The way you make me feel, the way you make my Black friends feel," people are like, "Oh, why are you in Black people's business?" I'm talking about the 2016 Grammys, but y'all continually invite these people. Yeah, y'all continually invite these white people into these proverbial Black spaces, and the bar is incredibly low. Or even Vlad, who literally exists just to create space for Black people to disparage themselves and for him to engage in that discourse. And then different factions of the Black community are always upset, but it's like y'all keep showing up and allowing him to create this space. So I think Eminem is continually invited in this, it's a lifelong invitation into this Black space. And so he feels like he has permission to speak, and to speak poorly, right? On this salient issue. And obviously folks are upset and they want to silence him, rightfully so. But I just feel like we have to stop making white people comfortable to center themselves in spaces that inversely they would never make us feel comfortable in.
You know what that makes me think
sense.
of? You know what that makes me think of? That's an excellent point, Herbie. And also when you said, Black people, my boyfriend squawked from the bedroom. He let at you. After you say what you was gonna say.
So, oh God.
Look at FG.
Because here's the thing. A white dude made that meme, and he's fucking hilarious, right? Tony Statovici. Well, I don't think he's white. I think he's Albanian or something.
A white guy made Black people?
Yes. And see, and there's the conundrum, right? Oh my God, I can't believe this is who I'm Tahoe today.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean he gets an invite to the cookout.
A broke clock is right twice a day. First, secondly, I'm sorry, because the thing that this song did not surprise me. This was the growth that some of y'all are talking about with Eminem. No.
That's what I'm saying. It's
all of these men are shaking their clouds at the fist, being mad about women taking over hip hop, being mad about the fact that gay people are in hip hop, even though gay people have been in this industry for a while. Clearly, they just weren't out.
Right? Because where did Eminem? Where is the when you think about where is the growth? Where is the change? Right? Because
he's always been like this.
Eminem is 2 or 3 songs. His right hand, right? We having this whole reckoning in hip hop about how niggas like Dr. Dre are revered, right? And I remember you can go read about it, the comments that Eminem made about what Dr. Dre did to D Barnes. Yeah, he wasn't no fucking ally.
I know Dr. Dre looking at Diddy like, that's fucked up. Let me chill.
But that's why they're not saying anything.
Quiet. Him on Jay-Z.
Jay-Z, dating Fox around 15. Like, come on, y'all. Like
Wait a minute. Now, how did Jay-Z get on it?
How did Jay-Z get on it? I know, because I don't want to do it to that lady.
Listen, Khadijah, when you start, I go right to Herbie's videos. I'm like the only other person who's reasonable like me.
Right, girl. I'm just like, you know what? Until actually, I'm going to be silent right now on the matter. I was about to speak, but I'm going to be silent right now. Actually, this is my response.
Herbie, listen, I got heated. It's right there. The fan. Oh, whoa. It's right there.
Listen, when you and T start, this is me.
See, exactly. Y'all are, this is why I can't trust y'all solidarity, because y'all just be looking like this when me and T are over there getting
and I'm like, listen, look at you.
Well, I do want to say this about that, and then we can circle back to the topic at hand.
We can swiftly move on.
And I'm trying to think if I want to say this right now, but maybe, you know what? I'll do it. Why not? The girls will drag me, but it's fine. I've been drugged before or dragged before. I feel like I never really fully resonate with this idea or this expectation for Beyonce or any of these other people to show up in a way, because you guys mentioned T, so that's what I'm talking about this, to show up in a way that is real solidarity. That's like, people are like, oh, their activism is performative. And I'm like, well, yes, she's a performer.
Yes.
She's a performer.
I agree.
So why are we expecting her to show up as Bell Hooks or Toni Morrison? She's what she does is she acts as well, yeah.
Oh yeah, let's talk about it again, because I have so many thoughts.
Please, my trauma. But I'm saying they perform a kind of, and I think they have to maintain a kind of. Now it is capitalism. She is our hyper billionaire, our hyper capitalist,
anti-capitalist billionaire queen. That's what I call her.
Right, but I think that they act as like a canvas. And so they have to remain as translucent as possible for people, as many people as possible, to see themselves in their material and then to go and do their own research on whatever it is that they may be alluding to. She's never going to, or not just Beyonce, but Beyonce she seems to be the one that everybody seems to focus on.
They do be on Beyonce.
She's an entry point. I brought Taylor Swift up too. I wasn't just going.
They
She's
be on
an entry
Beyonce's
point.
ass, and I do be over it.
But
just like a lot.
I'm not that's on Beyonce's ass. No, I want Beyonce's ass. No, I mean, Beyonce has made explicitly political, works of art, with Renaissance and gay and trans people. I think that Beyonce, she can't just, it doesn't make it, you're asking people to engage with your art politically. So I think it's right that people want her to use her platform.
So I have a lot of thoughts on this, because in general I feel like people do a thing where if they do something or if someone does something, it's like you want to make them that and make them that for lifelong, right? Like I've always told people I became a public defender, I became that kind of lawyer because for me as an individual, I didn't feel like it was sufficient for me to go become a Black lawyer in a system where Black people are disproportionately incarcerated, and I felt like I needed to do something in service of that. But under no circumstances do I think Black people in general or other Black lawyers are obligated to have to go about their legal career like that. And I this idea that people have to not only be activists, like essentially, but be activists in all the things because they're activists in one thing. Like lots of people have focus areas. Like even if they have, most people in general are not activists, and I don't think most people should be. And I think celebrities absolutely shouldn't be for a number of different reasons, or who we focus on for so many fucking reasons. But I think sometimes, and I see this a lot, like people will ask me, I get invited to come talk on this thing or come talk on this thing because you saw me talk on this thing. It's like, I don't know about that fucking thing. Like, I'm not the best person to be your advocate for that. Like, you're asking for something that wouldn't even be better, good for you. I'm like, the reason when you see me be excellent at being an advocate about something is because that's what the fuck my heart was in. That's what I knew about. That's what have you. And that's where the energy should be focused, right? So I think I don't like the idea that if somebody does something, they do something like a meaningful piece of work or they speak to something, especially music is going to speak to things, people's life and experience, anything and everything, especially any Black experience, any marginalized experience, anything that has to do with Black or marginalized people is going to be political in some way. There's going to be a political analysis. And I don't like the idea that if you do that, or if you create art, or you speak up on one thing or something, you have to do it on all the things, or all the things that people are activated about right now, or they discredit how genuine you were about what it is that you did do and what it is that you did offer. So I don't like that. I also don't like the idea. I'm like, celebrities, we do this thing where I think we forget that these things are jobs, because we don't see these people in that way, right? But especially as I continue, I think about what it is to be a content creator or a public figure or whatever have you, right? It's like niggas have jobs. They have things it is that they do. And when there are people whose job, what it is that they wanted to do was fucking sing and dance and be famous and whatever, however shallow thing. And whether they dibble and dabble or cross over in your minds of these other things, that's what it really is. That's what they're supposed to be. And quite frankly, I feel like more often than you have an example of a celebrity doing or being good on the issues or something like that, you have way more having a catastrophic effect on fucking discourse and what people think. And it's so fucking hard to undo the ties of what it is they're doing. More often than not, I feel like I like when people will be like, when they say something you don't like, and niggas will be like, play fucking dribble your ball, do whatever it is you're supposed to do. That's the attitude that people have. But then when those people do stick to those things, then people are like, you need to be using your platform like this. And I think it's one thing to want or wish for something a world where there are more platforms doing this. But I think the way it becomes this this is the focus. We need a celebrity should be doing this, or it's a reflection of them and their character and all this other thing. It just kind of misdirects to me what the whole conversation should be about, and also putting attention on the many people there are that use their platforms for that and their information. It's this hyper fixation on what isn't there. You know what I mean? On what isn't happening.
I agree, because I have two minds of it, because I've talked about this lady a lot. I talk about her way too much. It's just my flip-flop, flippy-flip, flopping ass feelings all the time. But I will say, like, in one mind, I'm like, yeah, I don't value what Beyonce, love her down, but I don't value what she has to say about certain issues more than I value my own opinion. And sometimes that's what I get from people when they want a celebrity to speak about a certain thing, right? But then I also don't want to play in their faces, because we asked Taylor Swift and Beyonce to get people to come out to vote. We asked them to use their power to do that. We had Lizzo on a stage with all these activists, bringing them out on stage, and then they noticed an increase in their followers. And I think Lizzo did a good job with that, because she was like, I'm not this person, but here's people that you can follow. Here's people you should be paying attention to. Like, she used her platform for that. So I think sometimes it gets really murky, and it's really like, it's really tangled when we're asking celebrities to use their platform and their influence to get people to just pay attention to something more. For me, I think to be an entry point into something. But then at the same time, you know, it's the art to me as well as a performer. It's quite selfish. It's altruistic to an extent of like, I give you this thing, you come, you experience something, you have a good time, you have memories, and I get to get attention and perform and do the thing that I want. I just want to sing, I just want to dance, blah, 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 right? But it's kind of like if your thing is to have as many people as possible see you reflected, right? Some of those people are going to be more politically minded, activist type people. So they're going to have a different expectation of you.
Yeah.
I think one thing I want to say, it's funny, I just made a video that touches on this a couple of weeks ago on the B-sides, which is there is something to be said about the normalization of stan culture when it comes to people, when it comes to our faves. And I personally feel like, why don't you do or talk about X is kind of a mutation of that stan culture.
I think so too.
It's not illegitimate. And I think we should consistently have discourse, if not so much for the celebrity, but for the greater population to say, hey, why isn't blank talking about X, Y, and Z? You know what I'm saying? I don't really expect Beyonce, and I think it would be relatively foolish to expect Beyonce to do a anti-Palestine. I keep doing that. Fuck. A pro-Palestine statement of some sort.
No, you've said that before, like on the community talk one time. I had to tell you about that.
I feel like it's relatively naive to expect that. But I don't think it's useless to speak on it and demand it on some level. So I'm of two minds, much like Khadijah. On the other end, though, the way that there should be a upper limit to how outraged you're gonna get about your favorite entertainer not reflecting the politics that you have and what you expect to be done about that, because they're not a politician. They're not there to reflect your politics. Even if they do on some level through their art do that, they're there to entertain you. And once you start getting so wrapped up in that cult of personality, you've actually lost your ability to critique at a higher level. And then you actually are like being a bad fan or whatever, because now you're not just critiquing or not critiquing what behavior is. You're just sucked into either the fandom or the anti-fandom. The ones on here a little while ago consciously was throwing shade at W.E.B. Du Bois. And I fucking love Du Bois. But that nigga has so many shady things in his past. You catch me dead to say something like, to try to be fighting people about him, right? Like, and that's, I think, more useful than being like, nope, I'm a Du Boisian. You can't say nothing negative about him in my presence. Or I'm an anti-Du Boisian. All the great things that he's done, all the great music Beyonce gives us, and I even love me some goddamn Too Short. We got to throw it all out the window because insert bad takes, bad moments, bad politics. That just seems like a bad way
to take that actually like a little bit different and like more personal with it. Like we have that often with our own audiences. And also like to the extent that we have people in certain spaces where they not weaponize audiences, but the audiences weaponize themselves against someone that the figure is antagonizing. So like if FD would say, and you've like had like anytime when you have a kerfuffle, like you have like a cute way, I think like there's like a going all the way back, what the girl name?
Kidology?
Not even Kidology. The first long time, like this like break bread era, Long Bones.
Oh, Jay
like
Longbone.
Like,
oh shit, I forgot about
There
it.
we go. Exactly. A lot of people did. But the reason why is because like with how you did it, you were just like, she's been trying, I believe it's she, but they've been trying to get 100K subscribers or something like that for a long time. That's my favorite
shade I've ever given to anybody.
You say, why don't y'all all go follow Jay Longbone? I know they're really working hard to get that. And this is all because they did like a reaction video to you. And like, it was like a petty, but like benevolent, like way of getting it done. But you have people that don't do it like that. You have people that like would target or the audiences themselves taking it upon themselves to like brigade people's comment sections and whatnot. And I think all here taking the stance, just like if we catch anybody inside our communities going out of your way to combat on behalf of us, like literally, we could pillory you. Like that's not what we do. Like that's weirdo behavior.
Dog. You know what? Listen, I think is it TJ1 or T1J?
T1J.
T1J has a video I watched where he talked about the way, like, I guess like a consumerism, or I don't remember what particular word he used for it to describe the way that people are looking to their creators or their celebrities or their whoever to reflect themselves, like they're in all of their consumption in their product. It's like, you can't have that product because the place there is this, or you can't know this, you can't follow this person, you can't listen to this song, everything becomes this reflection of I am a bad person, I am a good person based on what I consume, right? And it creates people being fucking hyper fixated on other people and shit that don't matter as much, and like monitoring others. Like when I think to myself, right, like I got messages from people being like, I swear to God, like I can show y'all messages, people being like, oh, I love you so much, whatever, but I've been like, I need to know where you stand on insert whatever issue or whatever, or I can't follow you. And I just think to myself, when I get these messages and I be like, are you good? Like when I think to myself, like, no, I swear to God, like, are you good? Like I like, you should not give this much of a fuck whether or not. I'm not like, it's one thing to give a fuck about what you're actively seeing, what that person is doing, what they're, how they're harming, but to like be just running around keeping an inventory on whether or not this creator or this celebrity or this person, because that's really what it's about. It becomes this like, and then you encourage people to be performative, you encourage people to virtue signal, you encourage people to do these things, and then you shit on them for it anyway. Like I've seen it only sparingly, so if it's deeper to larger thing, I don't know. But I've seen like, the whole celeb block thing. I've seen people like, going at Lizzo on TikTok, like going at Lizzo. And then when she responds, like, she responds, unlike a lot of the other celebrities that they're going at. She actually responds, felt away about it, tried to do something, and they just whacking it harder. Like, oh, see, the fact that you doing it shows you could have done it, and you just been performing. I'm like, what the fuck do y'all want from people? Like, and to me, I'm like, you're creating an opposite effect. You're disincentivizing people to get involved, because what happens is if someone talks on one thing and then they're told, now if I don't talk about everything else, I'm a fucked up person or blah blah blah. They say it's an easier life to never acknowledge any of this shit, right? And I think like, for me personally, I understand the arguments, especially everything that y'all are saying, especially in terms of people, these celebrities coming out to be, be like, oh, go vote or do other things. But I've always been a person, I don't like celebrity. And I feel like maybe because I'm from the Bahamas and foreign can maybe speak to this. There's a celebrity worship that's like the antithesis of Bahamian nature. Like, you know what I mean? Like we'd be like, oh, we don't lotion, we don't slap up. That's not us. Maybe it's because our prime minister and our celebrities right there. And Bahamians just saying, so when I see this, I just think, I don't think they should be involved at all. Like I work for a nonprofit where we do movements and all these different things. And whenever they want to like their focal point, there'll be so many people that like they think the whole movement, they think the whole campaign, the whole thing is going to be getting some celebrity just to co-sign or speak to whatever. And it nothing to go. So it don't work like that. They don't have the impact that you think. And I think there's also a difference that people never calculate. People can have a lot of think about how many celebrities will have a lot of followers because people follow a role. They say they're an actor. People follow a role that they love, that they am, but then don't go support or look at anything they do in their real life or their other things because they're not a fan of the person or invested in what they think. They're a fan of a character or whatever have you. A lot of celebrities don't have the sway. Andrew Tate has a lot more of an impact on what people think than Lizzo, and that's fucked up and that's sad, but it's true. You know what I mean? In terms of, because people, it's about what people follow you for. Like people, there are a lot of people who are going to listen to what Khadijah says on politics or activism or whatever have you, than before they listen to whatever singer or whoever say it, even if more of them follow, because they are following you for different reasons. So I think there's also this misplaced focus of what numbers and a platform could be. And then I see all these people and I think to myself, as somebody who was a regular nobody. I came to this country by myself. It's me, one. Like, I have no status, no nothing. I don't have no celebrity connections or anything like that. But whatever platform I've built or any advocacy that I've done in real life or being a lawyer is based on the efforts and energies I actively go make and what I care about. And when I think of the amount of people that don't put that energy into what it is that they care because they're busy putting it in, focusing about whether or not I will speak on something they're already thinking about. You're already thinking about it. Go fucking
right.
I think you want me to go talk about it for you. But Quay, talk.
I think the only difference is that when it comes to Palestine, or back in the day when it was Me Too and Harvey Weinstein, there was just a culture of silence and people just couldn't say something. And we needed somebody to ring the bell, so people know that it's safe to come out. I think a lot of people are afraid of retaliation and blacklisting. And it's hard to stand alone, in an industry that's, really Zionist and, is known to, get people together and take away opportunities.
But you're right.
Sorry,
Herbie. No, you go.
We both. Sorry. Well, I just want to say, I want to speak to what you just said, but then I also want to circle back to the first thing that you said. So I just want to just speak directly to you, sister. I reject the notion, and I'm saying this because people often critique me in my comments and say that like I'm a Beyonce apologist, and well, maybe, but I reject the notion that Beyonce presents herself as an activist, because I see her as performing, and this can be applied to any celebrity. I'm just using her as a catalyst for this particular talking point. I see her and many celebrities as performing a political perspective or creating political imagery, which is not the same, right? Like I said, there's an entertainment and performance element, and performance is not inherently bad. When I think of performance, when I think of performative activism, I think of James Brown, who never wanted to sing "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." Never wanted to sing that, right? But he came out and performed that, right? Because that's what people wanted to hear. I think his heart wasn't in the right place. I think intentionality, when we know it, because how are we to know what's going on in these people's minds? So when we have access to that information, intention is important. But I think Beyonce and a lot of these celebrities are a channel for us to really get in line with activism, right? Like she's highlighted Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, right? And she can only do, and T.S. Madison and a bunch of other people, she can only do that if she posits this information as cool and popular. Then if she fully goes full leftist, she loses that element of cool. And also I feel like to the last point, right. And to the last thing, I'm gonna let you go ahead. I think that we have to also understand that there is real risk, and we understand that, but there is real risk associated with speaking out on these large issues. Think about Eartha Kitt, who spoke out fighting against Vietnam, right? And how she had her cell phone wired by the FBI. She was followed. You think about Jane Fonda,
Sinead O'Connor.
There is
Dixie
real. Okay.
Naturally has been like this actually since she was in high school. She used to call out shit as a teenager, apparently.
And I know
we love a radical.
Just because you just said it, because anytime you bring up, like, you'll bring up something like that, and there are going to be people screaming in the live chat immediately, like, yeah, see, those artists did it right, such and such, and they'll have a list of people that they only know, like, generically from the pieces of art that aged well, that they'll be telling you about in the comments. And this is one thing I don't like. I don't like when, like, somebody does it right, or if somebody is an activist or an entertainer that does it, they become something to condemn others. You know what I mean? Like everybody has to be this and everybody has to be that. And I resent like the idea that everybody is obligated to be an activist or engage in this life of doing. I don't think so. Especially people, marginalized people who have to live their life in a way that is political and dealing with those burdens, whether they want it or not, right? But more importantly, like, I do think there's something to the political, like, art or where you find activism in art, or what it does for you, like what it does in that itself being valuable, like beyond the person, right? Because people are, like, they love to bring up a Nina Simone I have so many fucking Nina Simone comments of people screaming, Nina Simone, whenever to like for shit on Beyonce. And I'm like, Nina Simone was married to a fucking police officer, beat the dog shit out of her child. Like, you don't stop with this fucking deifying the dead, and like, and then like it's insane. And it's like this idea of there's never going to be this perfect activist or this perfect advocate or this perfect thinker or this perfect... None of us. I was telling y'all before we started recording, I don't agree with perspectives I have fucking put out. None is going to be that. And it's a waste of of focus. Like it is a waste of attention. And it's not like, I'm not going to put it on like our generation or online or the internet. This has always been a thing. Like the Black civil rights leaders used to be writing, taking shots at each other in essays and books, going back and forth, this whole like litmus test. And it's just a waste of energy. And I think about that all the time because it's like, think about how many niggas in the civil rights movement was arguing with each other about who's the realest one and who think this and who think that and all the semantics and da-da-da.
Whole ass diss tracks between Du Bois and Garvey, Malcolm and Martin, like whole ass long screeds, like, and this nigga a bitch. Like, I don't, cause you're like, why y'all doing this?
And you see the white wife.
Right.
I'm sorry.
And to the point Quay made, right? Like I do understand. I understand that, like what it must mean, especially I think that's a more specific, like you in the entertainment industry as an actress, like a perspective that we're not hearing or thinking about as much, like to the specific of needing these people in the industry that you're in to do that, to trying to change the culture of the danger and the backlash it is feel in the industry. And I get that. That makes a lot of sense. But as far as the overall, like the culture of silence around Palestine, my entire life, this is kind of, you know what? The way we're responding to this particular, like the culture of silence around Palestine reminds me a lot of like the people who after like 2020 talk a lot, like they act like there's nothing but L's have been taken, right? Palestine, my entire life, you could not be pro-Palestine. I've never heard a pro-Palestine sentiment in a motherfucking place other than hearing somebody was, I swear to my God.
I would only hear them because I went to Islamic school. Like I grew up Muslim. So like that was like,
okay, because that's the only reason.
I remember learning about 1948 and stuff like that.
That had to be in a hush. You know what I mean? Like you didn't even care about, you didn't even like care about the issue. You don't know anything about it. Like prior to October 7th, and this is something that I wish people would take into consideration when they come and you want your faves to talk about something. And I saw after you say it too, it was like prior to October 7th, I don't have any advanced expertise, substantive level of knowledge on fucking anything happening over in that area of the world. I don't know shit about it. I don't even know shit about Nigeria. Like I don't know shit about nothing. I don't know what's happening to mamas. Like I know about what I talk to you about, right? But I do know this. I do know prior to that, niggas could not talk about Palestine. The only nigga you know that did talk about Palestine is Mark Lamont Hill.
And we all know he got fired.
And exactly. And we all fucking know it. And so no one else did the shit. Prior to October 7th, there could be no, like the way that we are, the fact that we are stoning people who are not speaking up for Palestine is quite literally a massive change in what has been like the political landscape or whatever our entire life. So it's like, yes, I understand.
Can I share a little moment of victory? So my frat brother came over last night who was just kind of like, you're very typical moderate person. You know what I'm saying? He's good-hearted dude, relative, normal political engagement. And
you tolerate moderates so much better than me.
Because he's my frat brother. It's my boy.
This be me looking at my friends when they say moderate stuff, like my casual friends.
But let me tell you though,
I'm gonna go
half. Like, so we got into politics because Trump just got convicted, which is a whole other piece of topic.
34 count, 34
right.
count. That's what we need to do next song.
Y'all doing anything to get Biden reelected?
It's not gonna get.
Wait a minute.
Because we can go there, but let me finish my point.
Okay.
So he's arguing with another guy who's similarly moderate politics, and he's explaining why he's going to hold his nose while voting for Biden. And I was like, and even though like there's issues there, that in and of itself for normal people is a huge change in like the dynamics of the Overton window, essentially. You know what I'm saying? I understand that within our comment sections and our algorithms and our feeds as the radical left, wild people, that acknowledging that as a win is a faux pas. But if you're talking about my homeboy from Decatur, who grew up in the church, voted for Democrat after Democrat this whole time, is just in the last couple of years unlearning, understanding patriarchy, got his first bell hooks book from me. You know what I'm saying? Like all that shit. For him to come back and be like, yeah, it's a genocide going on in Palestine, I'm sorry, I know that doesn't satisfy
everything. Win is a win.
I understand.
A win is a win.
Don't tell me that's
a
not
win.
a win.
No, to speak to that point and to bring up something else, because earlier you were like, you want to talk about the man versus bear thing, and I think this is all kind of related. Because, okay, I tend to think that a lot of time, don't do Herbie. Every time you talk behind your ear, I just, okay.
Break it down.
And
break it down.
Way his face just looking so,
It's because, okay, here's the thing. I understand that a lot of people, especially like in leftist spaces, for me, I've realized, it's taken a few years to realize this, but for me, I'm like, I feel like a bridge in a leftist space. I'm trying to bring people that are center, left of center, and radicals together, because it's a mess over here. So to me, yes, you know, and it doesn't seem like, because we're not going to agree on everything, but let's agree on something, goddammit. So for me, that's my perspective, right? I'm like, I'm a bridge. I feel like that. That makes sense to me. I've always been this kind of person. I can hear a lot of sides and like bring perspectives that people might not want to hear and do it in a funny, whatever way, right? But sometimes I tend to think that on the left, we tend to assume people's oppression or people's, I don't know how to explain it, like people's disenfranchisement is just a straight line.
Yeah.
You're at the bottom of the hierarchy and there's no nuance or anything to your identity. There's no way that you could be at this part of this hierarchy and also be causing harm to people and also be, we treat it very laterally in a way. And so I hear that when I think about the celeb thing of like, okay, we're talking about celebrities, but to me, yeah, I'm interested in them saying things, sure. But at the end of the day, I'm more interested in the people. What did Chris Rock say? The man who signs Oprah Winfrey's checks is wealthy. Oprah's rich. He is wealthy.
Yes.
Like that is who I'm interested in because we don't know what these people look like. And they are we should have seen through the actors strike, through all this stuff. Most of these actors don't really have money like that.
Right.
Yeah.
I know actors.
No,
but
certainly,
I know actors that you would have seen in things that you would be like, oh, maybe we're splitting the bill on stuff.
Can I say?
Creator.
I'm telling
wait.
and like
it's true.
Legitimately assuming they know what people. You know what I hate? I hate PC and people just be like, this person has nothing to lose. Da, da, da. You have no fucking idea what the fuck anybody has to lose or what they have going on in their life. And I also hate this constant implication that the more you have, the less you have to lose. I don't know where the internet has come up with that, but that is a thought process, right? The thing to what you were saying, Khadijah, about the bridge building, right? I understand frustration. I understand there being like, I understand every like people, and I think that's people's right to like be angry and or to comment on feeling like people shouldn't need all these different things to be radicalized or to get on the right side. Or I understand that. I think, you know, that commentary is always still valuable. What I think is maybe not the move, or I find a little like frustrating is, if I had the attitude about like, I'm constantly trying to get people on board with like abolition, right? Let's talk abolition. I'm way further to the left on the criminal system than most everybody, Black people included and whatever have you. If my attitude was just to fucking beat, and I know creators like this and then thinkers like this, whose attitude is just to be like, I know and you don't know, so you are a fucking idiot who is not genuine and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, that even if I feel that way in my heart, I find it frustrating that I have to like convince niggas in my mind to not support a criminal system that is like obviously there to hurt us. That can be frustrating in my heart and in my private discussions, but I know that I am not getting anybody over to that side. I'm not bringing anybody if that's what I publicly put out. And I feel like a lot of what I'm seeing, especially in the form of the focus on like the celebrity this and da 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 da, it's just like, oh, you weren't radicalized the same moment I was radicalized. And I find that very frustrating and disingenuous, even from the loudest voices, because again, I know a lot of thinkers, a lot of content creators, a lot of activists, a lot of people with platforms who are now beating niggas back in over Palestine, who didn't say shit about Palestine before it came, not only October 7th, before they realized more people were saying it and became more comfortable to talk about it. I know this for a fact. I talked to these niggas and they wasn't trying to do it, and on long before then, right? And it's like, and I'm not mad at that. I understand when people, or the people who just started speaking on October 7th, because that's when they were radicalized, but it's like, there are niggas like Mark Lamont Hill who've been radicalized by Palestine for decades. You don't see him being like, oh, fuck y'all ain't genuine. You can't, you know what I mean? And I point you
the difference between organizers that I follow and people that have just learned about the things. Because organizers that I follow that have been doing this for years have a lot of patience.
Yes.
They
and
have
like, they see it as a win.
Patience.
You'd be so grateful.
They were following it when nobody cared.
Yeah.
Right.
And will be when nobody cares.
Yeah.
Khadijah had the most perfect read in their response to the man bear stuff at the beginning of it. When you were like, some of y'all are replacing trying to get sociology to do what therapy needs to do for you.
Oh yeah,
like
you ate that up. You ate that right on up.
But I think she said representation to do what therapy should do. But for me, I'm saying sociology, because you really, like, this is what I mean. I want leftists to adopt not just a theoretical practice, but a spiritual, mental one too. Yeah. You need to, because if you are going around like, okay, let's just talk about the man versus bear thing, because this shit pisses me off more than anything. This is the other problem. You have people that claim to be progressives, claim to be leftists, but don't give a shit about men at all, and are like, anytime I say the slight, I will drag men all the time.
Oh, Khadijah, you putting the battery in my back.
The moment let's go. Charge up, let's go.
Oh, I'm ready.
The minute I try to be even a touch compassionate, a touch, the men that hate it only hear that I'm dragging them, and the women that have been hurt by men, that I say rightfully have been upset by men, will use that as an excuse to go fuck them. Who cares? Do y'all not realize little boys and little girls are watching this stuff too? Little babies are watching this shit. Do y'all not care about
babies?
The fact that? Thank you. Because to me, it's baffling that I'm like, who do you think wins when all y'all are doing is fighting at each other? And most of y'all are heterosexual.
God
forbid.
Real quick.
To be with men.
Real quick. Like, I just want to put this last little joke in. I knew it was cooked on publicly facing feminists trying to be in somewhat compassionate for men when Olurinatti, little 19-year-old Canadian Asian Olurinatti, who was the most polite Gen Z non-threatening creator, did a video on carceral feminism that eats. The video is excellent. It's an excellent, kind, compassionate breakdown of why carceral feminism is a problem. And they came for her ass like she was Andrew Tate cousin in her comment section. Mm-hmm. I was like, y'all gonna do that to Olurinatti? Y'all can't.
They do it to the women and femmes and queers of color. They really. That's why some of them, I'm like, the white feminism, calm it down. A lot of you think you're white feminists. You need to stop. Calm it down.
If you think it's bad if you say something even slightly empathetic about men, let it be black men. Let it be black men.
Girl,
I cannot express to you how sick I am. I have had black women in my notifications shitting on black men for like 3-4 weeks. They about 100 more comments away from turning me into a red pill nigga. Like, hey, I'm telling you, it's like, let me just say this. There are some black women out there that just fucking despise black men. And they're all in my comments, okay?
Take it out not just on men, but I feel bad for your sons.
No. They hate black men specifically. I was on Tahoe's podcast, So Shameless, right? I have a clip that he posts up where it was like, I think I was responding to this prompt about these black women that are like, oh, they should date white men are the best, or whatever, all this nonsense. And I was like, or talking about she was complaining about black men. And I was like, the problem is with patriarchy, is with men in general, and what men are taught. The issue is with men and patriarchy. And it's not about black men in specific. And like, you're in community with black men, you might be experiencing more of that, and you're experiencing that from black men, but black men are not the main culprits. And even worse so, black men just, oh my God, if you see the shit these bitches are saying in my comments, God forgive me. I'm like, black men, I'm like, white men literally created patriarchy and abuse and this and the next thing or whatever. Like, it's white men. Black men are quite literally the least of all of these men. Yo, they in my comments. I swear, I could let me read y'all a comment. Let me just read it for you because it's the only fucking way. I have to read it for you. And this ain't even one of the worst ones. It's cringe making. I have to just fucking block her. Someone said to me, I look around and I've never seen a mass of black men supporting progressive things or things that help the black community. I said, this is the most ahistorical bitch I ever seen in my life. This is the nuttiest shit I ever fucking seen in my life. This is crazy. This is nuts. Let me read what she said. Oh my gosh. All right, let me read this to y'all. I'm sorry, y'all gotta get this because you gotta hear this, FD. You're gonna be blown away. I said, oh my God. This lady, she goes, white men create black women. White men created the system and benefit from it, true. But when it comes to dating black women, they have cleaned up their act.
White men?
Sorry,
white men?
White men. white
cleaned
men.
up their act when it comes to dating black women?
It's gonna get so fucking crazy. Hold on tight. Hold on to your seat. These comments about to get nuts. She said they are respectful, kind, treat us black women very well, and they actually marry us.
I'm not convinced that that's not a white man. I'm not convinced that's not a white man.
Like a real black woman. Like,
girl,
you sure?
That's a white gay man. That is a white gay man behind that.
I can see that because that happens to me a lot.
I'm telling you all, babies, real black women.
Niggas, I have like comments literally that says black women that love white men. That's the nigga name in the comment section, and they will tell me about how much white men are literally the sun that shines out like us. Like I'm telling you right now.
I gotta keep reading this, y'all. It's so crazy.
It's not done. Go ahead. No,
y'all have not
That's a white man named Stephen.
She loves her white king, honey.
Oh my God.
That's a white man named Algernon.
No, she doesn't have one.
I'm telling you.
Let me tell you something. As a black woman who a lot of white men have liked and has dated interracially, I'd be so blown away seeing these black women who aspire to date white men, like romanticize and lie about them. I'd be like, oh my God. Like, oh my God.
I have heard the wildest shit from white men I've dated.
Gutter dating experiences of dating white. Please.
When I did the Swirl-conomics video, I was shocked by my research. And like, I'm going to go ahead. Herbert was brave. I'm gonna be brave. I'm put this.
We're all being brave. I love that.
Right. You ain't about to say that you dated a white
internet
woman,
has this thing it does where it collects people, and it collects people that probably didn't think they had community until they got to the internet, and then when they get there and they find that community, they have an enriching experience that furthers them into whatever their belief system is. This could be positive. This is how my politics evolved. Foreign, I know, same experience with him. This is how I got my homeboy to read bell hooks. So it's a lot of good stuff there, but it's also how incels happen. It's also how January 6th happened.
Canadians brought that to you. You're welcome.
Didn't even know. See, but so there. But there's something that's happening.
It's a queer woman,
so
actually.
just give me all the grace possible here as I say this. There's something that's happening with black women and the way the internet is collecting a specific black film experience around the fantasization of white men that is, and it's going unchecked. And I don't think it's going to destroy the culture or whatever else.
No, but I'm sick of it.
But it is concerning because when I was doing research,
wasn't a thing.
Like the reason why all these TikTok, like every 3 months, have y'all not noticed there's a TikTok trend around black women dating white men? Every 3 months.
Y'all give me video ideas. Hold on.
The Master Challenge.
Shout out to Amanda Mariana. How do you say that? Amanda Mariana.
She just dropped that. Amanda Mariana.
She just came out with one today, and I was like, she just did this video 3 months ago, and she said, I just
hard
did this
wig,
video 3
soft
months
life.
ago.
Hard wig, soft life.
Yes.
What's crazy is statistically speaking, black women and white men are like the least in numbers of interracial couples. Like white men don't like black women. Like that is not true. And then you know what? And also this idea of taking white men fucking the occasional black woman or dating some black women here and there to mean they like black women or they love or revere black women is some nut shit. I'm like, if that's the standard, it's crazy for you to act like niggas don't love black women. Right? How come you understand nuance for all these other reasons? Why? How come the presence of a white man with a black woman is enough for you to believe a white man suddenly should be like forgiven of all sins, given all benefits of a doubt, loves the black woman, but not. Listen, I gotta read y'all the rest of this nut ass comments.
This a nigga This a white man that making that comment. That like to watch TJ, Roots for fun. I telling you, like
everybody is a bot or blackfish.
It's Russian bots.
Profile. If you think I didn't investigate this gal,
it's on Instagram.
You know,
she real, like a real black woman looking right at her.
You
like,
ain't sure that's a catfish.
You goofy fucking goober, you. She said,
goofy goober.
Wait. Finish.
She said,
wait a minute, hold on.
She said, they're respectful, kind, and treat us black women very well, and they actually marry us. That's my experience. Mind you, she ain't married. That's a lot of black women's experience. Statistically, it's not. Every white man who I've dated or perused me, she meant to say perused me for a date, has never asked me what I bring to the table. has never called me masculine. They call me beautiful, compliment my eyes, my hair. One man even complimented my fake nails. But the
do
number
y'all
one
understand what fetishizing means? Do you understand what that word?
It's so crazy when you watch you know what I think is funny? To like read Black women who hate Black men talk about Black women from the perspective of a Black man that hates Black women. Because it's like only
I was just about to say that.
Yes, it's only a brand of Black men that be like, your fake nails, you're this, you're that. That's a specific, you know what I mean? Like, so why? Like, why?
It's a really interesting phenomenon because I've made this comment multiple times in all of my gender-based content. The Black manosphere, which is a small niche but very prolific community, and a lot of this weird stuff that I'm still trying to figure out that we're talking about now with this fetishization of white men and Black women that hate Black men, they actually have so much synergy in their politics. They have a ton of synergy. They're both anti-Black women. They're both anti-Black men. They're both pro-white supremacy. Like they tend to be pro-Trump, a lot of them. And they all hang out here on the internet and argue each other's comment section. And they swear that each one of them is the most heinous, awful thing to ever exist. And they all hate us.
Listen.
Go ahead. You're still trying to read this comment?
Wait, I'm going to listen. Y'all going to hear this motherfucking comment and her reply.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I'm like,
this the King James
I have been
version.
watching Black men fight in my comments for their life for like 4 weeks against these, like, and just lose viciously. Like the comments just lose. Like, I'm telling you. So she says, but the number one thing they do is they pursue me as a man should. I don't have to go chasing after them, kicking and screaming like a toddler to get their attention. By the way, it's so crazy, this idea she's making that niggas don't pursue gals is so crazy.
Like, girl,
have you ever been to a gas station?
Well, I'm like, man, I'll chase you down Nostrand Ave right now.
White boys are afraid to pursue Black women. I'm sorry, in my experience, I have never mind. You know what?
Don't get me started.
Sorry.
Don't make me tell you about the interracial chronicles of my early 20s. Anyway, I said I don't have to go chasing after them, kicking and screaming like a toddler to get their attention. Dating out is good for Black women. We need to experience this. I think it's healthy and wise because diverse options bring clarity. Also because we are small people, there aren't enough of us to go around. So it is in Black women's best interest to open our options. So a Black man responded with one simple question. He said, is your husband white? Do you have a husband? Oh. She said, no. Let's stop there. All this hatred, like you have no fucking kid.
No, it's a humiliation kink.
For a white man doesn't even have.
Well, yes,
it's a humiliation kink.
Like, wait. It has to be. Okay. Go look at the swirl video. There's a whole community of swirl videos, and they're all like Tumblr energy.
They're the Instagram accounts too. You look at one too long, bro. The way the Instagram was harassing me with those damn videos,
it's too long.
My TikTok wants me to want to snowbody so bad.
I want a white boyfriend after watching some of these, because they seem so amazing in these videos.
It's crazy, like it's nuts to me because I always wondered. Like I remember I had a friend who was a coon, right? All of my 20s, I went to law school with him.
Not just casually a coon.
And was like, right? And like he exclusively dates white men to this day, right? Like, and there's a difference between someone who dates white men and someone who exclusively dates white men, right? Now I was someone who was dating white men. She exclusively dated white men. And the way that bitch saw the world was so crazy to fucking me. Like when I see these people romanticizing like dating white men or being in interracial relationships, you would think that there's nothing that happens in the world. Like we're just like cartoon characters, like you're like a white show where all you do is like go to lunch, you know what I mean? You have fun, you go somewhere and that's it. Like there's no life like, oh, they were kind, they were good. It's like there's nothing. You know how much fucking conflict there is in interracial relationships? Like, you know how much conflict there is to navigate, how much there is about the world and how many things that happen? It's nuts to me when you just keep seeing this, like, they give these, like, surface level. It's just like, picture, look, TikTok, white man, Black woman, life is good now.
If I could just their defense, in these women's defense, I feel like these black women are lashing out. Now, it's not a one-to-one comparison.
No, they are.
They're lashing out. It's not a one-to-one comparison, but me as a trans woman, I've been trained to not even look in a black man's direction. And so have my black trans friends. We all have been trained like, these niggas don't fuck with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there is like this resentment that definitely builds up, and you have to, you have to move past that and move beyond it. But I get it if these cis women have been done so wrong that they're lashing out in this way. I'm kind of like, I see that.
Here's the thing I want to point out. I want to say, you're absolutely right, Quay. But you know what's interesting? I never see any black trans women being the ones leading these fucking divest or hate black women. Maybe you might have a larger circle in mind, but like that's not the majority of who I see doing it. And I don't know if you know any of these like divestors, misandrist types in real life.
Behind the scenes, we're trying. Like they are unlearning. I've unlearned it. They are unlearning it as well. But are they
unlearning if they're actually actively like online trying to make it popular opinion and leading community like as a
of course not.
And that's
of course not.
Yeah. I get it. I think there's a different conversation. I don't even mean like, I don't think black women should be criticized for interracial dating, or anybody should be criticized for interracial dating. Like I said, I think there's a difference between dating interracially, or being open to date other people and exclusively dating that, because your argument is black men are the worst thing to happen. Like they're never like the ones who I'm speaking about a specific quadrant of women online they're not speaking against like patriarchy or misogyny or traditional gender or anything. They love that shit.
That's one of the main issues with black men.
The black man is a disgrace, unable to embody it. Like that's what they're like. Those ones that I'm talking about in specific. Like, and I do think like I want to be careful to make sure, to Quay's point though, I want to make sure it's not coming across like this is a critique of like black women who date interracially or who might critique black men online. No. Lots of critiques to be made. Go on, critique away. Critique. That's not what I mean. I just mean these particular gals.
That was insane.
Quay,
the comment was insane.
These niggas, like, leave these niggas behind. Ain't no good niggas.
Herbie. Okay, Herbie, I'm gonna be brave after you. What were you gonna say?
I just feel like niggas ain't shit, and there's no space here for that to be said. Like, niggas don't be shit. And that's very, very important to lead with that, because if most black women are dating intra-racially, and we know, not to get too serious, but if we know that black women and Native women have some of the highest rates of domestic abuse, obviously there are people who are not experiencing domestic abuse who are experiencing verbal abuse, or whatever trauma and toxicity exists in their relationship dynamic, they're more than likely going to experience it at the hands of or the mouth of a black man. And so a lot of times, because of patriarchy, white supremacist capitalist patriarchy, and that's a learned behavior, right? And an indoctrinated ideology. However, they're experiencing it through a black man. So I think this idea of idealizing what you have not experienced in a system where the media is representing these group of people as like hyper romantic and folks who will dote on you, right? And because not just in media in terms of film and television, but in terms of marketing and the advertisements that we see of interracial love, it always looks like it's done in the way it's romanticized, right? And so I think that I just think that also niggas are not shit, like especially people who live in urban communities. Like a lot of times when you're talking about niggas ain't shit because they don't have a job or what you have access to, right? I think it depends on, I think we're looking at this from a particular vantage point where we have access to a variety of different people. I mean, or like of different educational backgrounds. But I think if you're experiencing the same kinds of black men, and then that imagery and those stereotypes and those archetypes are repeated online and in media, then it's just kind of like, well, yeah, the consensus is niggas ain't shit.
I understand how it happens, but it's still bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? like I want to say, you know, especially when we talk about like rates of abuse and an analysis that I think gets left out and should be incorporated, especially when we talk about like white men and violence and domestic violences. You're always going to see more instances of things with black men because that's who gets criminalized. You know what I mean? Like white men's rates of domestic violence and abuse of their partners, they do not meet the system the way that we do do. So that's a really important thing that gets left out of here, right? So that's one. Two, of course, I understand. I have all the empathy in the world. I am a Black woman who has dated Black men. I've been on the receiving end of domestic violence by Black men at XYZ, right? But that being said, it becomes I get it, I understand, but I think we do still have an obligation to unpack and make sure that we are, what is a Malcolm X quote that I'm going to bastardize, but something to the effect, if your analysis leaves out the oppressors, you know what I mean? It'll have you blaming the oppressed for how they respond. And that's the thing that I think happens. It's like, yes, I understand that intracommunally, these are experiences is happening or whatever, because that's who we're experiencing it by. But if our communities continue to like celebrate and reinforce like patriarchy and hypermasculinity and misogyny and all these different things and gender roles and believe in that deeply. So you still believe in all the harm, you actively want and are invested in the systems that create the harm that's making you hate the Black man. But instead of recognizing that it's the system and it's all these different things to actually do anything about it, you are just now celebrating the people that fed you that system, And so like, while I understand how it happened, it's those people who did it. So I'm not mad at the Black women that are, or Black or why how that's happening, but it's still bad. Like it's still bad.
There's something to say about. Go ahead,
Herbie.
So I also think that white men have access to existing, performing, and showing up in a way that is softer. Now we know the structural conditions that make that possible, right? And that make it so that Black men show up in a way that is hypermasculine, or where Black women and other people demand that they show up in a way that's hypermasculine, right? Which is restrictive, and we need to attack that system and we need to critique that. But I also think that we can do both things at once. So we can say that my lived experience is that as a result of these systems, because they show up in a way that is toxically masculine and feels harmful to me, and white men have a capacity because of their privilege, right? And because patriarchy is created around them and masculinity moves at their or bends at their whim, right? I think that both those things are true. So when they're idealizing white men who created a structure that is really destructive for all people, including Black men, right? I think they're also speaking to the fact that maybe, and I don't know this because I've never touched a white man, but that maybe they're having a softer experience.
Ghost star Black gay. I've never touched them. I don't know about you girls, but
but if I could though, but here's the thing, to kind of synthesize. To kind of synthesize, let me pull out as I do this, because somebody made a comment that I'll be throwing my Black wife out on a regular basis to
I make sure niggas see CJ every 14 business days. Like, what are you talking about? Like, yes, because they love to lie on my name.
But to synthesize, I think of where Irby and Olay are kind of meeting and bring it back to Khadijah's recent experience. I think one challenge here is this part of the discourse is underdeveloped. Yes. And that's why Khadijah got the response they got. And that's why Olivia got that response. And Olay gets that response. And so many films specifically. So I found that as I got more pro man or whatever, or empathetic to men's issues, I shed maybe about a third of my film audience in general. Right? Because they wanted me to be a little less challenging to the comfort zone of how we talk about men and boys. Yeah. But because I'm a male, they just kind of quietly left. Yeah. For films, they lash out at y'all because they're so used to not being challenged on that causal mentality, on the flawed logic behind that. And so niggas ain't shit. I genuinely agree with.
Yes.
I'm saying it. I think I said it in the video.
I mean, I think I say it every other day.
Right. I say it every day.
It's a mantra.
It's
a
really,
truly. It might be on a shirt.
But I think my experience, even as a public defender, and like, especially dealing like representing Black men who are in the criminal system and who I need to be able to like, they need to be able to trust me, but I also need to be able to advise.
Look at my dark-skinned Black family.
Not look at my dark-skinned
hair. My man got long too. I find that you can critique people's behavior if you first at least acknowledge or validate the validity in their feelings, right? Like,
yes.
I've had a Black man that I've represented that other people have found to be such problem clients, or they can't deal with them, or they get rearrested, all these different things that I have had a great time with, just because the virtue of me understanding like you're feeling. Like, I understand why you were mad. I understand why you felt this way and da. You still can't do this thing. But even the understanding is more than they receive. And I think I'm not speaking for, listen, I want to be clear. Niggas get on my fucking nerves too. There are all kind of niggas on my comments like mad at me for defending them because patriarchy is good. Patriarchy is not giving my white woman that. Like, so don't get me started. I never get like, it's not like defending the black man ever earns me any black male support. It never does online. So I'm just getting shit on by black women and shit on by black men. So I'm not saying I don't understand. I know y'all are coming across a lot of ignorant niggas online every fucking day. So I'm not taken from that. But I'm just trying to speak to an average black man or a black man that I know, because not for nothing, I hate that it's become this popular opinion, or like the popular opinion that you see expressed by black women online is this idea that like there are no good or progressive black men or black men defined, like they are this, like they're all like more often than not. And that's not my life experience. I know a lot of black men, yes, that are problematic in this and this and the next thing, but I know a lot who aren't. And the same way the black woman to me isn't, I'm not forced to represent black women as their worst selves. No one, my audience does not expect me to show up and make black women, like the black woman in my mind that I speak to and about, as the worst example of black women, right? No one expects me to like treat the black woman archetype that I'm talking about as a divester or a misandrist or whatever have you, right? But I'm expected to treat black men or talk about black men in the worst way or the worst presumption or the worst average. And I just find that a lot of more people and a lot more black men are receptive to critiques on misogyny or critiques on their behavior or patriarchy or all these different things, if you at least first acknowledge that's the system they were forced in, or that's the system that they have to navigate, or that's where they're there. And I think so often everybody wants to like fight past that first point. Like it's just, let's have the critique of niggas, but we don't want to have, it's usually so divorced from any critique of the system.
That's the thing. It's like you're talking about the symptom and not the disease. And I'm like, it's the same thing of like focusing on the celebrity and not the thing behind it. I'm like, we can have these conversations and again, validate your feelings. Because the first thing I'm gonna say to a woman is, yeah, I get it. My earliest memories, I used to be scared of walking down the street with a group of black guys because they were the ones that would always make fun of me for being dark-skinned and ugly. Like that was the first thing. I never thought that I would ever be attracted or attractive to black men growing up. It wasn't until I went to Gambia and had a different experience with that. Because that's also the thing, right? Herbie, I think you were talking about it, of like, some of us have the advantage of having different experiences. I got that experience as a teenager because I was in Canada. I was invisible to white people. Like, there were white, what? No. And then also being made fun of, hypervisible to black people because they were making fun of me. So I just felt like, okay, well, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing? And then I go to a place where Blackness it's a repeated exposure. You see black people that look like me all the time. So there isn't a, oh my God, like you're so different looking. It's just oh, I can actually be measured now. I call it situational pretty privilege, right? Depending on where you live in a certain part of the world and all of a sudden you're beautiful, but then you go somewhere else and people are not checking for you or they think you're hideous.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that experience and then get older and like, have a bit of a glow up, and, was able to like date people of all different types of backgrounds. Cause like for me, anytime my friends are like, oh, what's your type? It's like, actually, you don't have one. Cause I kind of date whoever.
Yeah.
Pansexual, all the things. Right. But like being able to date so many different people, and I'm talking about it in a dating sense, because I think a lot of these women are talking about it in a dating sense, not that that's the only way that patriarchy has negatively affected them, but that's the main way it tends to show up online with dating and romance and stuff. It's why those swirl videos are so popular. It's why they're leading with, well, a white man would treat me better. First white guy I dated for a long time, the way he talked about Asian women and how he just thought that they were so submissive and like his uncle had an Asian, like they tell on themselves every time.
Like, you know what I hate? Especially when they say this, oh my God, like that one was like, oh, they love our hair and they love our this. Like, get the fuck out of here, they do. Oh my God, I remember like dating a white guy and asking him like which of my hairstyles were like his favorite or something like that, or what he would like, or something. And he was like, oh, everything but, and he chose two pictures, and one was Bantu knots and the other was my natural hair.
Nothing that comes out of your head.
Hey,
wait a minute.
I could also,
y'all. And we don't really talk about the futurism part of it too, because if you look at this book right here, Fear in the Black Body, you will have white Europeans talking about Senegalese women being attractive, simply more attractive than other African women, simply because their features are closer to white Europeans. It's just their complexion is darker.
I have had white men like me and then tell me that like, I'm so like they find me so pretty because my features aren't so black. Like they like my
they're not so strong.
Or whatever. Yeah, all these.
Yeah.
So I just
Michaela
like to
Cole
me,
versus
like,
Lupita.
Thank you. That right there.
Yeah.
And
who again are both beautiful, but there's a hierarchy.
And I know lots of black women in great interracial relationships with unproblematic white men who love them. You know, I even have it's not everybody. It's not things. It's just this idea that like it's just the romanticization that's just so fucking.
But I think that people are, just to go, I don't know where this was in the conversation where this thought popped in my head, but I think that a lot of times when black women are saying what they're saying, I think a lot of people are just parroting feminist theory and have never engaged with any feminists actually. And so what they're talking about, they're just reciting talking points and attaching that to their emotion. But that's not even the point that I really wanted to make. I just wanted to say that. The point that I wanted to make was that I'm not sure. You said this and it struck me, Olay. And I've been sitting on my hands because I'm not sure that black men are more progressive in my experience. So that's anecdotal, but are more progressive in terms of, because I just don't think they have the space to be. I'm someone who actually believes that a lot of you guys all probably believe it. You can't be homophobic and not be a misogynist, right? And so you can't be transphobic and not be and be. So I think that a lot of times in my experience, I think that they don't have the space. I don't think that they have the space to be, because I think that this is a more of a cishet perspective that you introduced. I don't think that they have the space to be progressive, because what does it look like? And this, again, my experience, and
I'm not saying they're progressive. I want to be clear. I'm not saying,
but you're saying that they're more progressive.
I'm making a scathing indictment of men. And people just like, they miss it because I'm saying that black men aren't the worst, right? Like I'm not like, or black men aren't the worst offenders of this. Like if you look at globally, look at the world, whatever have you, right? I think multiple things are happening. Because when I think about like Khadijah describing their childhood or growing up and like how you're being received as beautiful or not, or colorism, all these different things, right? Like in the Bahamas is a colorist ass fucking place, right? So I was dark skinned, I'm African as far as they're concerned because my name is African or whatever have you, and so not attractive to them, right? Growing up. But I guess because I was in a black nation, like everybody is black, that I never took this it didn't register to me as black men, you know what I mean? Or even me, or I'm more so or a black man, or even about the black woman, but how black people, it was always my mommy's light skin, and my mommy kind of was my mommy's light skin and woke, so she jumped. My mommy told me they were gonna do it to me as a little kid before it happened. So my mommy was there already telling me, and she'd already put it on. Bahamians have this inferiority complex mindset. So I always had this knowledge of like colorism and how it affects us and how it thus affects how I'm perceived and beautiful, this and the next thing. So I think that kind of shapes it a little different. And then going to America, I think what is often happening too, if you're only like in America or in a country that's a white country, right? You're dealing with black people in groups or pockets where they're not normally like the majority. They're there. You're in a smaller, like a subset black community. And so that can become like, this is what black people are on, you know what I mean? And the white people that are usually in your communities are not necessarily as representative, I think, of all the white people. Like when I think of like, especially like white people I know now, I know a lot of progressive-y, New York-y, white people, or like my white nonprofit white people. But I think of when I was around just white people, like in Florida and West Virginia and Ohio and Kentucky, and know how those white people really move. Yeah, I'm not the fucking hipster in Williamsburg that you go out with or whatever, and how they think and how they move, but your average white bear, you know what I mean? And how that's I guess who I'm thinking of, or how I'm seeing it. And I think that's
sorry.
No, if I could jump in, I think Irby is correct. Quay is correct. I've heard what's the sister's name? She started this bread soup shit, and it's the motherfucking thing she get.
Lindsay Ellis?
No, the black one.
And
this that's what I see. You just did it. No, black one. She actually is like the one for trans black.
Cat
OG
Black?
Cat Black. Thank you. Cat Black.
Yeah. I love Cat Black.
Because she's also said this. I think Irby hits an important point that black men historically have not been allowed to, for insert multitude of mechanisms, to show up in a certain way when it comes to gender, which precludes itself to misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, etc.
Correct.
And so I think the challenge though is what Olay's getting at, which is the hypervisibility of it. which is if we want to present an understanding and imagery of transphobia, we do want to find the Black man first. We want to frontline Dave Chappelle, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to looking at the large scale, completely white supported Republican platform towards trans issues. Right. And that becomes this ebb and flow where we want to be critical of the obvious and directly to people's lived experience challenges that cishet Black men specifically present to a multitude of people, specifically in this case, LGBTQ people. But we also want to be critical of how that ends up becoming this manufactured consent against Black men as a whole, where we lose track of the classic challenge I often put out there, because it's an easy one to prove, is this idea that Black men are so much in support of the Republican Party that I've had to disprove on multiple occasions.
Me
that
too.
Has been, it's been frontlined so much in our media that people think it's true. And you look at the data, Black men are like 30 percentage points beyond any other group of men in the country in terms of like not supporting the Republican Party. But because that is a talking point that is accepted, this is the key thing, because it's a talking point that's accepted within left-leaning spaces and is uncritically not challenged, it is not challenged or is uncritically accepted, whatever, it becomes this way to subterfuge in these anti-Black discourses. And it's hard to challenge it, because to challenge that, I then have to challenge the lived experience of Urban Rebelist, who has experienced homophobia from Black men and rejection from Black men, etc. And so it's just like juggling two bombs from my perspective.
So yeah, I want to just really quickly. So I am Haitian and Jamaican American. My father was born in Haiti. My mother was born here, but she's Jamaican. And
you don't know what you've done. You just alerted a whole community to be on your ass. Like,
they don't tell them you have something else.
They show up every Sunday at 1 p.m. to let me know they hate me.
Because you're not African American.
I'm not Black. I'm not Black. I grew up in Georgia, but I'm not Black.
I'm not Black.
It's like a lot. It's like a lot. I mean, literally whatever. Like, girl, please. But and I said it to say, so for like my like middle school and prior to that was all like predominantly Black schools, and then for high school and college I went to predominantly white schools. So I've been in spaces where I went to a school of almost 2,000 students and there's only 30 Black kids, right? And they're all different kinds of white students because it's a Catholic school, right? So they're conservative, right? And it was public Black schools. So I feel like I've experienced a myriad of different types of people. And in my experience, and I think in the experience of many Black queer folks, and I think that it's really good to use us as maybe like a different, because it's beyond just how they respond to queerness. Black men, I'm discussing. It's how they also respond, or like what space they're given to do manhood differently. It does come in. What we're discussing is who has the privilege to show up and represent a kind of progressive politic, whether or not that's how they actually think, but maybe that's what they're representing. And I'm not going to be the person that's like, white people have been so kind to me and Black people have been bullies, because that is not the tea. That's not my lived experience. But I'm saying all of you motherfuckers, most of you motherfuckers get on my nerves. White, Black, and indifferent. But what I'm saying is I don't subscribe to the notion that Black men are more progressive, because in my experience, I don't think it's because of lack of wanting to. I just don't think that they have the space to show up in a way that, or more, did I say progressive? In a way that's more progressive, because they lose manhood points. For supporting queer folk or supporting trans folk or supporting women in a way that maybe white men are allowed to do, like defy patriarchy. Because they don't have access to the economic structures that white men have.
It's so wild. I'm sorry.
No. I understand. Oh, go after you.
Well, no, like everybody just hit on something that's so wild that I've witnessed, that I've even had discussions with other white, progressives around, which is like the patriarchal feminism of white men. How like as soon as a white man, posts the Instagram infographic about feminism, he gets frontline to the forefront of feminism, all while doing all the patriarchy behind the streets. Josh Whedon is a perfect example of this. Josh Whedon was not, I won't say iconic, but he was very much frontlined as this progressive icon of white masculinity, and like behind the scenes was sexually harassing people.
I call it nice guy feminism.
Yes, the last thing, the leader of masculinity studies. I can't remember his name right now, and I've quoted his book on multiple occasions because it's good shit.
Curry,
but he literally founded the Journal of Masculinity.
It's Curry,
not Curry. No, this is a white dude. I can't remember his name.
It's a lot of them.
But he did. It's a lot of these motherfuckers. He got Me Too'd, and he's the leader of male feminism. It's like, I
first of all, I fully get that. Like, I understand that, like, there is an experience of queer folk that I just am not gonna have. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna have. I can only imagine. Like, I know when I go to the mamas, the homophobia be fucking killing me, and I'm a cishet person, so I can't imagine when you say you Haitian and Jamaican, Herbie, your life was rough. That sounds rough. I can't get in that. I am sure. You're that's fucking valid. I understand that point you're making. I ain't got nothing for that. I can't.
Yeah, this is why I say niggas ain't shit.
Yeah, I get that. No, I can't touch on that. My friend who is also I want him in cornbread too, but I gotta get him. Prince Shakur has a YouTube channel and also has a book, and he's Jamaican. Jamaican American, and he has literally his memoir is talking about the experience of being a queer man and growing up with a Jamaican family and stuff. So anyway, that's a trauma I can't speak to. I know, I understand.
The guy's name was Michael Kimmel. Real quick, he was literally over the Journal of Masculinities until he's founded it in like 2001. It was the biggest thing ever in sociology, and then got Me Too'd in 2013.
Damn.
Right as I was finishing my goddamn thesis, and I had to rewrite half of it to acknowledge. And to acknowledge, I couldn't get rid of it because it was a foundation of my fucking research, but I had to rewrite half my damn thesis
to account for it.
Yeah.
But, so what I was going to say is, I think it's interesting, you know, you saying like, I don't feel like Black men have the space to be the most progressive, because I don't think Black men have the space to be the worst offenders of patriarchy. They don't. Like, or to me, like, that's what, when I think of the worst aspects, the larger system, and when I think of a global this and what patriarchy and the amount of the outspray of violence to that and misogyny and all the different things that come from it, Black men don't have, to me, the mechanics, the space to be. They're not at the top, you know what I mean? They're fighting. Yes, you're right. There's a way that they show up in our communities and having to try to like fight to embody something that wasn't meant to incorporate them, or that is meant to make them fall short, right? The idea behind patriarchy and all this, the traditional, what we are thinking of, this white system is meant to exclude a Black man. And that's why all the other systems are set up to make sure that Black men cannot reach or attain the things that would allow them to be valuable, or be seen as the true man or whatever in the eyes of patriarchy. And that's why, for me, when I hear the complaint, like a lot of what it is what a lot of the things that we use to cite why our experiences with Black men, or why Black men are the worst offenders to us, especially because that's who we live in communities with Black men. That's what we're dating. That's what we're experiencing. I cannot, for me, not know that the reason why and the things and where that comes from and all the notions, when you hear that, all directly connects right back to trying to be a player, fighting tooth and nail to try to like appease the system and be a player in that, and not having the tools to do that. And when I think of the worst, it's like, yeah, like to the nice guy, feminism, all these things. It's like, yeah, Black people, especially, because I know Black people, I'm seeing a lot of overt homophobia or overt things, and these things that seem crazy than what I'm seeing from maybe the average white person I'm dealing with. But the private conversations of white people, or the quiet, you know what I mean, or what they simply do, like they don't gotta be homophobic towards you for you to experience their overt homophobia when they kept you out the fucking room altogether. You know what I mean? I think of things like that.
I have a question then for the group. This might move us into another topic, but it's related. So that if we're going to talk about, okay, the amount of down low men in the music industry, the way, Herbie, because I looked at you immediately when I said it.
Wait, hold on.
I just watched this RRD video about Busta Rhymes today.
Because the way, hold up, thank you. I have screenshots. The way he is commenting on Diddy's posts, the way Busta Rhymes comments on everything Diddy has posted since Cassie filed the lawsuit, before, girl, somebody needs to look into it.
Right, girl. Just kiss him in the mouth already.
Anyway. But the amount of men, if we're talking about overarching system, right, and the music industry, if we're going to talk about Clive Owens, because people need to look into him. Or he recently, a few years ago, came out as bisexual. But people often speculate that because he was Diddy's mentor, he was the one who taught Diddy how to be. He groomed Diddy allegedly. Don't do me. Groomed Diddy, and Diddy learned a lot of his practices for how to groom other artists in the industry from him. If we're going to talk about this overarching thing of like, they don't let you in the space, but then low key secretly, a lot of people are queer or a lot of men are down low. I don't really know what my question is. More so, I just bringing this up because because it's been on my mind. Okay, I have been on a rabbit hole with Diddy since November.
Looking for it, face.
You just introduced me to information that I didn't need to know, but now that I know,
once you start going down the rabbit hole, bruh, like that's why some of the stuff that's coming out, a lot of like YouTubers have been talking about this for a while now, especially talking about the music industry. But sorry, go ahead.
So I will say that hip hop uniquely is built upon like a masculine black aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of other people that contributed to hip hop and origins of hip hop, but hip hop as it exists today was built off of niggas exaggerated black swag.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so the problem with that is that is not open to queer, soft, femme, anything. And niggas have never not been, niggas in their personal life have never not been so against that other than it's wrong. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So the DL stuff is probably a huge thing that just doesn't get discussed because just statistically, let's go to football. And I remember a couple of years ago, there was a football player, the black football player that came out as gay. I don't remember his name.
Mm-hmm.
Sam something. You're right.
He dated somebody I know.
He never made it to the league. He never made it to the league. And he damn sure could have been in the league. But as soon as they caught wind of that, they fucking Roethlisberger and
There's a rapist.
Right. Raplesberger and dude in the Browns are both in the league. All these other dudes in the league, they're not distractions, but this one dude could not get in the league. The only openly gay football player historically was a white dude that came out from the Raiders. Sam Hubbard, I think was his name, that played for the Raiders a couple of years ago. That's the only one. And he was a Trump voter. So that just speaks to like this like the weird dichotomy that black men have toward any form of queerness, softness, et cetera, where to indulge in that is to risk being seen in the way you want the world to understand you.
And like the part that like I just want to really quickly touch on before I got to do daddy foreign things is like, especially in the case of the fact that it's not only that like we have to perform this archaic ideology of like patriarchal masculinity, but we are not seen as men, like period. We are not men. The biggest mistake that you can make as a black man is to think that you are a man, because that has very deleterious consequences for you. And we see it every time when you lash out against the system. You don't have the full range of motion. If you ever had an injury, like you understand that like if you get a shoulder injury, if your shoulder could go all the way back here, after the shoulder injury is right here. Yeah. Black men are injured. We only got about like right here. And anytime like when you see a black man betraying the patriarchal masculinity and the embodiment of that, he is making a fatal risk upon himself to do such. And he will do, as Olay was saying, even though like it does not serve us, he will do that unself-serving thing, like harming a black woman, even though that's probably your biggest ally in this game of white supremacy, or more importantly, like trying to embody performances of masculinity that just won't work for you. It's almost like wearing like an ill-fitting like suit, like it just won't fit for you. Basically, we will still do that if that means but a paucity of privilege or patriarchal points, because it is the safest thing that we could do, which is literally trying to throw one person or one experience under the bus in order to bolster ours, and that has historically been
also,
black women and black.
Can I say something I just thought of that I'm sure is going to shake the room? It just occurred to me, right? To Herbie's, you know, I don't think the black man is the most progressive. You know what I find interesting? Whenever you bring up black men, any argument like that, right? Like, people they don't even allow you to make an argument based on like how black men vote, or that the majority of black men vote for Democrat or anything like that, right? And I understand that more in our like leftist spaces that don't see Democrat, whatever. But this is just in general. They dismiss that as a calculus, right? Like the fact that every other racial demographic of men in this country, like way less, like black men vote like 90-something% up there, right? But the argument for why black women are progressive is always around voting for Democrats or being progressive, in the sense that's the exact argument, and no one fucking dismisses it. And what I find interesting is when we're talking about like, it's this argument that becomes black men are the worst, or because of how black men are like embodying this masculinity and this patriarchy and this. But black women go fucking up. Black women in real life, not the black women online, not black women this. No. Black women in real life, our black mothers, our black women teachers, black women go up from misogyny and patriarchy and gender roles and all those different things. And somehow that's not weaponized against the black women in terms of our perception or us as progressive or the way that we care and rally for change, but it is against the black man. And I find that curious because my entire life, I know none but black communities, got a black family, black this. I ain't never been in a room of black people being problematic and black women wasn't present. You know what I mean? Like it never been the case. So that's the thing.
Clock it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the benchmark for progressive or our benchmark is different. I'm not using voting for Democrats.
No, I know.
As well.
I
know.
Yeah.
Right. I know that's not what you're saying, but I'm saying I think my benchmark for progressive does, for me, I mean, anecdotally and selfishly, it starts at queerness, but I think queerness tackles, as a black queer non-binary person, I think it tackles so many ideas. You have to grapple with so many different ideas, and you have to be open to so many different ideas of empathy, progressive thought, in order to be comfortable or even tolerant of these different human beings' experiences and identities. That is my starting point for progressive. But I did want to speak to the DL thing. I think that straight men, if straight men stop fixating, and we're talking about black straight men because we're talking about overwhelmingly because we're talking about hip hop culture, if they stop fixating on gay men's sex life, and were vocal about not giving a fuck about, you know, gay men's sex life, because there is a hyper fixation immediately when 100%. I walk into a space. I'm not a person, I'm a sexual object to the men who claim to hate what I do privately, right? And so I think that's a powerful tool in eradicating DL culture. But I think also if cis women begin to identify and publicly speak that they see trans women as women, then that too also becomes, because straight men are already doing it, right? These DL straight men are already identifying these women as women. They're just not saying it to you,
right?
And so if straight women, I feel like if cis women came out more publicly and vocally about, well, yeah, that is my sister, I do see her as a woman, because she's just like, you got eyes, I got eyes, then I think that those two things are really paramount in terms of moving the needle forward.
Olay rolled up her sleeves.
Because let's talk about, I have a video on my page called How Transphobia Hurts Black Women, right? Like talking about like a whole, y'all don't know how many transphobic black women I have blocked from my comments and social media, because I have a lot, like I go out of my way to like, I have multiple interviews with different black trans women on my page. I have gone up for it on so many different occasions. So I have this fight a lot. And you know who like a dirty dog talk about it to me? Black women in the comments acting like black, like trans women. They act like black trans women came to destroy them. I just need us to like not be left out of the, like, we need to be, as we are nailing these black men to the cross for their bigotry and their like homophobia and their transphobia, we need to acknowledge that black women are part of the party too. There's just a way that black men are allowed to demonstrate their men's bigotry can be dangerous, physically dangerous, and that's what makes it different, right? Like a lot of times we're talking about, there are like trans women, especially black trans women, are being killed. You are seeing you are seeing the violent, and often again by the men or whatever. So you are seeing that violence, and you're seeing this, and you see the way that they talk about it and all this. And so it's so extreme that you forget to realize that black cis women are saying the same shit differently, quietly embedding and raising to their kids. Like,
and those men hear that.
Yeah.
Clock
Okay.
it.
If I could,
Yes, of course. We need you. This is the floor.
I'm not trying to virtue signal to anyone or anything. I think I've just been really lucky. Like, and maybe because I passed, I don't know. I haven't had these type of experiences with Black women, or Black cis women. But I guess I just create like, you know, really progressive and accepting spaces for myself. But I mean, I hear about it. I mean, I do hear about it and I see it, but it's never my experience. Like my experience and the trans women I know, it's our Black men that, you know, we love and we want to love, but that really is the focus. Because I think where we are is like, how do we mitigate violence? Like actual, like, you know.
But I think violence is breeded by the rationale that justifies it. Like men are taught to act out violence, especially in the case of Black men, like acting out. Bell Hooks talks about this. Acting out in aggression and violence is the only way that they're allowed to demonstrate masculinity, right? But like what you determine to be violent about has everything to do with what you are being taught, what you believe in, what you're invested in. And so it's like, yeah, I know I have Black women friends who every reason would lead you to falsely believe that they are not homophobic or transphobic or bigoted. They have the occasional queer friend. You see them there in spaces. They blah blah blah. Talk to them bitches privately.
They bring their boyfriends to the gay bar.
Look what they teach their kids. What they're teaching in community. I swear to God, what they're teaching their nieces, their nephews. Like you would never see it or hear it or you know what I mean in this larger sense. But I know it privately because it's the same way. It's like. I guess it's you know when a white person decides they like you, they close enough with you, and then they tell you, you know what I mean, and you find out, but you you otherwise don't know. It's like I know what cishet Black women are saying when trans Black women and queer people are not around, and it's the shit that leads their son to grow up and stomp you out. And like,
and there's more Carishas, because I spoke about this on my Patreon. I didn't speak about it publicly because I just didn't want to have to get into the things. But there are more Carishas in the world than there are people who are like accomplices, not just allies, but accomplices to ending queerphobia, right? Because I was at the GLAAD honors when I watched Carisha hunt through. For all of 4 minutes.
Why did they have her there? I am pissed.
Sorry, y'all. Who Carisha? What happened?
Young Miami.
Oh, okay. What's
from the city girl?
That's so funny.
I was so shook. I was like, did this?
Not Diddy's daughter. Don't do that. Not Diddy's daughter.
I was so shook. I was like, did Herbie just like call all Black women Carishas? Are we doing that?
Wait a minute, hold on.
What's Carisha?
I'm screaming.
I forgot.
Now officially, I'm calling Black women Carishas on Olay and Prince.
No, don't do that. But what did she do? What did she do though?
All problematic on the line Black women are now Carishas. Thank you, Herbie. You coined that.
Go ahead. You tell it.
You're welcome. It's the gift of gab. So essentially, the reason why the girls are upset with her is because there was an interview she did years ago on the Breakfast Club where she said if her son was gay, she would be him. Right? And then very recently, the usual. Then very recently, she was at the GLAAD honors and the GLAAD Awards, which are in celebration. Right. And she doubled down. So why did they bring her to the GLAAD Awards? So, right, and because she needed a photo op for her merch.
Tasha Santana is her bestie, so she knows one queer person.
But GLAAD that is supposed to represent in this space, and I deal with GLAAD a lot. They're supposed to, have great representations of gay and lesbian people in the industry. They put her on their red carpet and gave her this platform. Post all the Diddy Pink Powder Puff shit.
My issue is not so much that she was there. The bitch looked sickening. When she walked through, she looked over. And one thing about me and the girls, when a woman comes through looking over, all sins can be washed away by a sickening silhouette. But
I wish we had higher standards.
I just gotta be honest. However,
we can do both. I feel like it's important to do both. I am Googling right now her look, and then Googling what she said.
Thank you. Well, so I mean, I think I wouldn't have been upset with that if she came in and she took the mic, and she publicly apologized and she said that all of the proceeds from this gay merch that she's producing is going to a local queer organization in Miami, in Florida, where they really need it. Right. GLAAD has bountiful income sources. I don't think they need whatever little money she's getting from this gay merch because I'm not buying it. The real tea is she's just trying to get the girls to save her dying career. And one thing about the gays, I hate it.
They will.
We will fall for it.
Yeah. I was gonna say we need more Sanders, but
I also was gonna say like
I
think there's two things that go on. I think one, Black people. I'm gonna give this to you, Quay, and then sit my ass out, my sis ass off in a second. But I was gonna say, Black people have a very, because this is our like a non-apology like in community. Like think about your parents being wrong to you and then just being like, I'm gonna go buy you something, you want something to eat or whatever have you. I think they're and so there's a way that we accept that even from our face. Like you said that problematic thing, but you ain't said nothing and you seem like you're being nice, so it's okay. And then also like a notion of, and also we all know the larger society of acting like you have a friend. Like it's like white people and they white friend. Like you have a friend, so now you are an ally.
And what's your friend's politic? What's your gay friend's politic? Let's wake that up.
Like queer folks are not problematic.
Chelsea Santana real problematic, if I'm not mistaken.
But I will still sing Material Girl. I'm sorry. You see, I'm part of the problem.
Embrace that duality. I think it's so important, not to get us away from the top of the hand, but it's so important to love the thing if that's what it genuinely made you feel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if it
not the art over the artist.
I know. I was like, not love the sin, hate the sinner. Is that what we're doing? Is it the other way? Is it the reverse?
I think that there are. Oh my God, I got to give this to Quay because I want y'all to go back in a minute. Or FD got me off topic too because I think about this in terms of like, R. Kelly, right? What made me not listen to R. Kelly music is not was not the original moral condemnation, though I had it. It was because the framers of that movement who let us know, like explicitly told me, like, this nigga's using all the money that he makes from this music to like run this enterprise. Like I realized when I was watching Surviving R. Kelly, I was like, oh, I am funding this nigga's. It was a way that I was like, oh, and so like to me, that's the thing that made it, like a thing, right? But like generally, I do think you are able to like appreciate some art or appreciate or whatever if you find it valuable and like still critique the person or not really fuck with them.
That's
like
all
that.
I'm saying.
I just think there are levels. You know what I mean? Like that's like now if I get a whiff. An idea that my money is going towards or my support is somehow helping you hem people up or be on some extreme fuck shit.
It's a job.
That's
a job.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also, your art is not yours. Then that's all I'm going to say. Your art is not yours. Once you create it, it's now the public.
So
that's an open for interpretation.
I hate my art being the public. I hate when they start shitting on my shit that I like.
It sucks, but yeah,
like
use your mouth that doesn't belong to you.
I hate it. Like when it comes, I don't like that background song. I really like it. I put a lot of work into that score. You're on my nerves.
I think that kind of. Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
No, what I was saying was so unserious. Kadisha was like, once you use your mouth, it's not yours. And I just was like,
your mouth. Don't do me.
I think that kind of goes back to what you were saying, like how you have fans who will like message you and be like, where do you stand on this? And I know like one of my trans girlfriends, Robin, she is really selective with who she follows on YouTube because she doesn't want to follow people who may be, harboring transphobia or, just different things like that because she doesn't want to like, build up their platforms and be involved in like the hate that they'll, disseminate into the world. So
and that's valid. And that is really valid. And don't get me wrong, I did it too. If I peep like, I don't really know, I think you not really for niggas or whatever, or I think it's this, I'm not gonna fuck with you either. But I'm not gonna message you like, hey, right quick.
Right. I wanted to add quickly though, going back to the point, I made a video about DL dudes and I asked a question, would you date a bisexual man? Because to me, I'm sorry, but those are going to be at the top of my list. If I'm gonna date a cis man, he's got to be bisexual. Because there's something that happens when you talk to a man that has slept with other men, they get it. The men that I have talked to that have been like, that discovered their bisexuality in their 20s and 30s will be like, oh my God, the way some do, they're aggressive. I'm like,
the online.
Yeah. Like if a guy has only slept with women and then starts sleeping with men, the difference he notices is, and this is anecdotal, but for me, it was so obvious. I was just like, I would much rather date a man that is queer, a little fruity, whatever. But okay, so having those conversations. In my comments, women would still be like, I don't know. There's just something that just doesn't feel right. There's just, so it goes to your point.
At least they're being honest. What I fucking hate was how an insecure to this day, niggas is stoning Molly as though the average cishet black woman you know in real life would fucking cut off her left leg before she dated a bisexual man. I was like, why are you bitches stoning Molly when you know you performative ass bitches? Like,
they're being honest, but
like, I'm not saying they're right, but it's like, you liars. Like, we can't even have a real
but it's like
what if y'all are all pretending to believe in the right side of history. You're not on the right side. We're not there yet. I know that black women on average, cishet black women are not there. I know it in real life. I don't know one of them saying that shit, but online they be there.
Yeah.
But that being said, I have an excellent point. Someone once made this point to me once. Someone was like, "Oh, I would never date bisexual men or whatever," and someone quote tweeted like, "How you know you have it?" Like, you know what I mean? But that's the thing.
And you in my comments saying that too. Like, a lot of y'all are in here acting like you are not dating men that just won't tell you something. But what Herbie was saying of like how women as well, and I think Olay, you were saying this too, how if we keep making it a big deal, it's going to keep being a big deal to these cis men, as opposed to it actually doesn't matter. Why does it matter?
And that's why it's important to not leave us out of the conversation. Like when we talk about like how these things happen and what's fueling this and all of that, like it has to be like a totality look. Y'all want to know? The first man I dated that was bisexual did not tell me. In fact, he actively told me not that. Like, you know what I mean?
The lady doth protest too much.
Dog, and it was crazy. It was crazy how he told me. He told me twice. He told me twice, but he didn't tell me the first time. He told me enough to know that's obviously what you must be telling me, but he didn't tell me. And I'll tell you exactly how I found out. After, I want to be clear, he explicitly, he didn't have to, he could have just said he was bisexual. He went out of his way, like, man, I dating app, like straight on the app, straight bio, straight conversation, like going out of his way. One day, it was for my first year of law school, I'm in the cafeteria. I text him like, hey, you want to go to the movies to see the Jungle Book movie? And he said, do you want to have a threesome with a guy with a big cock?
Oh! Okay.
I'm sorry.
Sir,
wrong. I texted the wrong person. Ma'am, this is an Arby's. Ma'am, this is an Arby's.
Oh God.
So
cock.
Was he white? Because
cock.
I'm about to say he had to be. Well, I don't. So
he lost me at cock.
Tell me if I'm fucking up. When I hear cock, I immediately think white men.
That's what it is.
Correct.
Okay.
It is. It was a white man. And then so he didn't tell me. And then we stopped talking. I didn't respond. Not all close to you because I'm assuming you. Because I asked you to see the jungle. You know how wholesome a request to go watch the Jungle Book is, and you responded with a whoa. So I stopped talking to him. Then like months later, I'm like, he like reaches out to me like, we're cool. At this point, I'm dating someone else and he's dating this girl. And so I can't remember why I saw him and he was talking to me, but this is how he was talking. He was like, oh, he was telling me how he was dating the girl that he was dating when he was dating me. But the way he did it, he was like, yeah, after he was like, yeah. So when I was dating you, I was like dating you, like Alyssa, Jessica, Mark. And I was like,
it was Brenda, Letitia, Sean, Risha.
Who fucking Sean? He said that. Like, imagine you just shocked because a nigga lied to you, but you don't want no one to get the wrong idea about your politics.
Now listen here.
Like, hey, this done pissed me the fuck off, but not in that specific way, so that you don't misunderstand where I stand on these issues. However, you know, for real, while we talking,
this is exactly how it went. So he just says that, and he continues on talking, and I go, Mark, and he was like, and he was like, yeah, and he continued talking. I was like, are you bisexual? And he was like, yeah. He was like, yes. He was like, yes. Yes. He was like, oh, yeah, I didn't tell you that. I was like, no, you didn't tell me that. And they continued talking, and I just was like, I think.
But you know what? Actually, that might have been the most not heterosexual, but heterosexual male thing that he could have done. Not disclose something important. When let me be brave as well. And this be a funny
I don't think that's important though.
It's not that important. But I mean, like not telling you something if he's gonna ask you to have a threesome.
It's not that's important, but it's that you think it is, so you conceal it. Like. And he did because he did. Like we end up, you actively thought there's a chance I might not date you, like with this information, or I might not continue. And so you are not telling me that, so I can't make the decision on that information. Mind you, I don't have the problem with it, but that was the goal. The goal is that he was actively deceitful about it. And you know what's funny too? I want to be clear. He, for the rest of eternity, like once I think I just didn't want to date him, like in life, he just started like pretending like it never happened. Like I don't know he's bisexual. It just started like switch to like full cishet performance and like talking about women.
That's where the money's at.
I was like,
I'll be brave too. And the only time the internet has ever been mad at me, I am very like, I'm pro deceit. I personally
call it deceit.
I personally am, out and open, of course, but I totally get it. Like, there are so many trans women I know, and I've done it, before as well, where it's like, I don't,
yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you,
I'll tell a guy, I'll tell him if I want to, I'm mixed on it.
So I think I'm I don't know if I'm mixed. I don't know if that's what I can just tell you from the shit I've heard, just like Olay was saying, when you're in those pockets, the things you hear will tell you the truth about certain people who even their politics might say otherwise.
Yep.
Like imagine being in the pockets when niggas already, they ain't got them politics. So like, I think I'm pro deceit as well for whatever that's worth.
Yeah. I hate y'all called it deceit
because
I love
that. Maybe that's not the right word. I'm sorry,
especially for like trans women and like women in general, especially like women in general. But like this 6'4" big ass football player body nigga lying to me is crazy. Like what I was gonna do to you? Like,
maybe it's not lying.
Yeah, go ahead, Erwin.
Maybe it's not lying. I just think that you don't owe anybody that information. Period. Like he didn't owe you to not just you, anybody. Bisexual men or any human being doesn't owe you how they identify, whatever that may be. Like I don't think any other human being is owed information about your gender orientation, your sexual proclivity. Like that's your body.
When you do enter relationships with people, I think you don't owe people out in the world. I don't think you owe people out in the world. You don't owe people anything. But I do think if you go and enter a relationship with people, I think you.
Why?
Well, I think there's something to knowing your partner.
Why?
Because I would slightly disagree. But the reason that I would say that is because I lead with my stuff, right? And I know for some people it's safer than others, right? I know for some people it's more safe to lead with that than others. But I'm just a very like transparent person in general. I'm just like, if you trust me, for me, it's like, if you trust me enough to let me see your orifices, then you should trust me enough to tell me whatever. Yeah, I said it. Orifices.
Orifices.
Oh my God.
That is the dirtiest word.
I feel stressed.
Right? But this is part of the thing that I get upset about when I'm dating people in general is like, you don't know me, right? So you don't have to trust me immediately, especially if it's something sensitive information. That is fair. Like, I'm hoping that you trust me enough eventually to tell me whatever, blah, 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 blah. If I'm dating you to know you, I want to know you. If I want to know your favorite pizza topping, I also want to know if you like to sleep with other people. Like, to me, that's just where my mind goes to it. But I understand, like, you don't owe people that information. But sometimes I think, like, how can you be vulnerable? How can you maintain relationships and be vulnerable and open if you're not being that way in them? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think you
can I jump in real quick?
You don't gotta volunteer.
I need to run in and be fatherly.
And parent.
So going back to whether or not pro deceit is a good term, and it's actually piggybacks off of something that Foreign said earlier. So it's this weird dichotomy. I said earlier, like juggling bombs, because I have heard men, or at least seen in on like social media in men's spaces, like openly advocate for murder and violence against trans women for not 100%. Like I've heard
they think it's valid. They're in my health for review comments right now.
Right, completely valid, and had to like be like, dude, that's a human, all these things, right? So like on one end, I want people to be safe and not get murdered, but on the other end, like fuck these dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like if that's the attitude, you should be resisting that in every shape or form, even if it don't even serve a long-term more useful goal. And so on the flip side though, recognizing, so I get pushed, I get a lot of like, and I almost feel bad because and this is piggybacking off what something Foreigner said earlier, because I'm very open with my accomplice or ally or whatever terms that are appropriate that you may put upon me, because I try not to call myself those things because there's so much baggage to how that works. But because of that, people think I'm bi, people think I'm poly, people think I'm trans, people think I'm all those things because I can't just be a cishet nigga that likes
can't
football.
Believe you care about people.
I can't just be that, you know. And so the funniest thing that Foreign mentioned is the modicum of patriarchy or resources that you get by performing patriarchy as a Black man, because the other thing that is often missing from my standpoint is that there's so little benefit in where I stand in my politics. There's no incentivization. People think there is. The manosphere niggas like to say it. Oh, FD built a whole group of feminists. And that's why his channel's so big. And then I show them on several occasions my analytics, and that my audience is 75% men. They be like, nah, that don't count. There's no benefits to it. And so
acknowledge how much bigger you'd be if you didn't do that. If you
right.
didn't do
That Kevin Samuels had a million subscribers in a year with bad audio, bad lighting, bad content. All he did was bash women, and it was enough to get him over the top.
That ass.
That part.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So all of that goes into that juggling bombs thing, because, and this is not equating in oppression Olympic stuff, but it really is difficult sometimes to want to bring up the like nature of the complexity of living in a Black male body in ways that we just have extremely underdeveloped discourses around. Yeah. I love me some Bell Hooks. She's all I got in terms of like most, generally speaking, popular Black feminists in gender studies thought in terms of engaging with Black men. The other major Black male figures that I'm like, ooh, I don't like y'all niggas. Y'all sound stupid. Yeah. Y'all got weird fan bases. Y'all got, you know. And then on the flip side, completely understanding why that is, because as Irby said earlier, niggas ain't shit. And so it's like this like
Irby was like, and that was a complete sentence.
And you know, it's
big dot.
Big dot. Shit be rough. So like to any man, Black man watching, I feel your pain, but also do better at the same time.
But also, pick it up.
You know.
But also, I do want to say this too. I don't think so. In the space of sexuality, activity doesn't equal identification. Yes. So sometimes when people have sex with or have same gendered sex, they don't identify as bisexual or pan or what have you. They just get placed in conversations where people are like, "So are you this thing that clearly your sexual activity has suggested that you are?" And so if you say no, you I don't buy it because you just told me you have sex with men. If you say yes, it's like, well, why didn't you say that? And not that I'm not talking about you anymore specifically, Olay. I'm talking about just bisexuality or like people being trans. And then what FD was speaking to about not people being trans, people being transgender. What FD was speaking about on behalf of like trans women who experience violence by the hands of, straight men. It's like they shouldn't have to. First of all, these niggas know every time. These niggas know. Stop playing or the vast majority of the time. Like I just cannot with like this narrative of like, well, if you want to be safe, then just say who you are, bitch. He knew exactly where the girls hang out. Mm-hmm. He knows where the girls party. He knows where the girls are, and he made himself available in that space. Picked her up, brought her home, girl. What he say? He want to go to the library with you. He want to take me to the Chanel store, and then after that, he want to fuck me. Girl, that's exactly. So this idea that they don't know, or that telling them is going to make them more safe, is untrue. Yeah. Because one, they already are aware, and even if they were aware, it's not these trans people's responsibility to communicate these things so that these aggressors are not aggressive towards them. These aggressors need to control themselves.
No, 100%.
No one was saying that.
I think to be clear, I think in my own personal bias and sometimes my naivete of like, I just love people and like, I just, vulnerable relationships are important and connecting to people is important. So like, if you have an experience, you want to talk about it. Like I'm a bitch to ask everybody about their sexual experiences because I really do want to be a sexologist eventually. Like that's a whole other, truly, I've loved talking about that kind of stuff since I was a kid. Like even when I wasn't interested in doing the act, I was always interested in talking about it because I'm fascinated by the ways that we as people in the most quiet, vulnerable places, how we show up. I think that is very fascinating. I think it's very interesting, and I think we can learn a lot about it. But yes, I completely agree that like no one owes you that. Like that's not, especially strangers, because a lot of us haven't earned that trust. A lot of us haven't earned that honesty. And also, it doesn't really, for a lot of people, it doesn't have that much to do with anything. For some people, it's more their identity. For other people, it's just, sometimes I sleep with people and like, it's not that big a deal.
I have such a, when it comes to the LGBTQ community in general, and particularly the trans community, but then extra in particular, like Black trans women, I have such a level of like, oh, you need to be protected, because I guess like, first of all, I hate to see like niggas othered within the nigga community. I hate that. Like, I hate that. Like, I hate people
not the nigga community. Okay.
We're coming up with a lot of terms today. A lot of terms.
I hate, like, I just, I really hate seeing like people act like they're pro, like it's pro, you could be pro-Black and quite literally be anti, like not even just erase entire swaths of Black people, right? That being said, I think the reason why I extra feel for the LGBT community, but specifically like Black trans women, is because as someone who's like, everything that I say pisses off a fury of people, right? Like just for like being an abolitionist, speaking out on white supremacy, this and the next thing. I've spoken out on everything, and I know how the world responds to it all, right? Like, or at least like to me. And never do I see any, like I told you, like there's one thing, okay, like I'm complaining about how I feel like what the response I feel like I get when I say something empathetic towards the Black man. But if I, like a trans person is just on my channel smiling, breathing, you know what I mean? Like you just like, you say anything. If you could just see the comments, the vitriol. Like I have people who don't watch my iconic interviews altogether just because there are interview. Like I started out with Laverne, and I have trans people that I've done it with, and like send me all kind of comments and so upset and this is the next thing. And so I just think I'm like, all right, like not for nothing, even with all my awareness of like the Black experience or being a Black American, being a Black woman, all these different things, I don't never see no level of ostracization like what you see when you talk about like the Black LGBT community, but specifically like Black trans people. There is this like, there isn't even like a, like Black people will start talking like how white supremacists be talking about niggas who've just been killed by the police. Like that's really how they be in the comment section. So there is that.
Harvey, you were saying that, guys know most of the times and not always. And I think the reason I use that term, like the deceit, pro deceit, is because I feel like with guys and like being tricked, I feel like it actually starts with them just looking at a trans woman. And if, the way I show up in the world, like guys don't know. So they feel like I'm tricking them
and they be mad about it.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
My boyfriend argued with his boys about that recently because they were like upset that like there was a bunch of Black trans baddies like at a party, like bad, like cold, killing everybody, killing all this gals.
Pretty like a transgender.
Hey, no, dead ass. Like let's you know what I hate when people pretend they'll be shitting on trans people who don't pass and then pretending like they're like what they're mad about is that they're not blending in more. But you want to see real rage? Let them feel like they can't clock somebody. Like let them be attracted to a trans person. Oh, the fury. And because what they're saying is they presented like they're being tricked, but really what it is their ideas of sexuality and what it's supposed to be about them and their masculinity. It's what they feel like they have to reconcile within themselves, because who the fuck are you to make me be attracted? And it says so much about what people think about like attraction and sexuality, because it's like, you're attracted to that person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? But you're acting as though you're not technically attracted to them because you want to create this like gender binary and be upset and act like they've done something to you. But all this really is you being upset about internally, like something you feel internally based on what you've been told externally is supposed to be,
And correct. And Quay, I want to say this, and then I don't have kids to raise, but
I'm gonna let y'all be
it's
free.
time for me to go.
I'm gonna let y'all be free.
I feel like it was giving that. We were coming to a consensus. That was what the vibe was giving. But I did want to say this, Quay, you are kind, right? You are very pussy. But I do feel like It must be. When we're talking about the people who are unalived or harmed by these, we keep talking the Black context, so by these Black trans women who are harmed by these Black men, right, or any of these men. Usually, from the stories that I'm familiar with, it's after they've had several encounters, and now it's become public. So how many Black trans women have access to the Capitol to get this bottom surgery, right? And so I think it becomes abundantly clear, or want to. So I think it becomes abundantly clear what you're working with and the ways in which you fell in love over and over again. And now that you've been exposed, or there is a threat of exposure, that's when the harm comes into play. So I do think that there are trans women who move through life and men are none the wiser because they're attracted to women. And so this is a type of woman, just like there are Black women, Asian women, and they are attracted to you or any other trans woman. But most of the time where the harm comes in, I think, is what
that's a great point. I think it needs to be like articulated explicitly, that like how much of this idea that this constant like reinforcing this idea that like trans women are tricking cishet men is only meant to deflect from the violence of these men that are a lot of these men who are fully in the know and whatever have you. And how much is that like rhetoric in general just meant to make sure that people just have this underlying justification that they never even get, which a justification for the murders that they don't hear about because the media don't cover it in the first place when Black trans women are killed.
Because also, even if you were quote unquote tricked, why are you so angry that you will kill someone over that?
Clock it. It's been clocked.
Yes.
It's been clocked. Consider it clocked.
Ooh.
Consider it clocked.